Okay.
Okay, are we live?
We are live.
Sweet. Well, I guess it's been a while since you guys have seen my face, but I just want to first update you guys. Hey, we're doing a live stream. First, I want to update you guys and say that I haven't been taking a break. I've literally been working from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep, from pretty much like every single day since the last McCabe Manor video was released, because we have tons of crazy like new series that we're about to post very soon. But currently right now I'm under a police investigation, so I have to be in hiding, so we're in a secret location right now. The police are investigating me. I might be arrested at any moment. The police could even show up as I'm doing this live stream. If the police are able to like track the location of where I'm at, we might even see the police show up during this live stream. But what the live stream is about today is we have a very special guest with us. Back when we infiltrated the 12 tribes community, I had a bunkmate whose name was Shomer, and he is recently no longer a part of the community, and he is with us here today. Should we show him the big reveal? Let's see. Where's Shomer at? He's in the room with us. Can the cameras find him? Let's see. Oh, there he is.
Yay!
What up?
Hello.
You look different than when you were in the thing. You had very long hair when you were in the community still. But
yeah, changed it up, man.
Yeah. So the very first question, I guess. Well, you said actually. So Shomer's actually been here. Your name's not Shomer anymore, though, right? What's your actual name?
Yeah, Andre is the name. My birth name.
Oh yeah, because I know you by Shomer, so I'm gonna have to mentally start calling you Andre now. But we're also here with Danny Burke. Danny just spent 3 months in Bali, right?
Dude, I was on a little mental health break from work, and now it's back to YouTube and doing some crazy stuff with you, so I'm stoked. But then I come back, and now you're being investigated.
Yeah.
It's crazy that we're hiding out now.
Danny went on vacation, and I just got myself in trouble.
But I'm stoked to be back, guys, and this interview is going to be a good one.
But yeah, so you said you were talking to Nathaniel right before you got here.
Wait, just really quick, Nathaniel in our series was a guy that we opened up to literally the most. He was kind of our guy that kind of took us under his wing, and we actually really cared about him. But then when he found out we were secretly recording, he did not like us.
Yeah, he didn't like us at all after that.
And then you show up, and then what were you saying? That you were just on the phone with him.
Oh yeah. So I was waiting to meet up with y'all, and I'm like, you know what? Let me call. They have a line you can call, like if you need how they call it, like a sheep line or whatever. But so I'll call his line, and Nathaniel picks up, and I'm like, oh man, I've just been I've been rewatching over the series, kind of see what it was all about, and yeah, he's just like, get to talk to him. He's kind of was like, just like, oh, there's nothing good there. They're just don't mess with them.
Talking about us.
Yeah, talking about you all. He was basically kind of warning me, like, don't waste your time with them.
So then why'd you end up coming on here then if they were telling you not to?
Oh, well, the reason I wanted to come on was just to share my perspective. I definitely respect all the work you do and your creative vision and the work you did. But I just kind of wanted to provide an objective sort of testimony from my experience and just kind of share, kind of beyond the surface level of some of the stuff you might see when you first look into this organization, kind of why I think it is valuable for society, why it can be valuable, and also maybe, anything else that you want to just touch up, kind of some of the specific points y'all kind of made are a little extreme that I kind of wanted to touch on, but that's why.
Yeah, because I think we were talking about this before the camera started, but yeah, the audience has seen our perspective on it, but they haven't seen your perspective, what you guys were experiencing while we were in there. So, and there's a lot of unanswered questions that maybe you can answer for us, and yeah, we'll try and go in chronological order, I guess. And so we'll start with, I guess, what made you want to join the 12 tribes community?
Yeah, man. So, long story short, I kind of started seeking for the truth of like, what's the purpose of humanity? Why are we on this planet? These kind of things. This was a while ago. Long story short, I started to get become aware of these things that were happening in my life that seemed like too like odd to be true. I've come to like understand them as synchronicities, and all that kind of is just like a coincidence when two things sort of happen. And there's like a spiritual significance behind it. So I started to notice these things, and I got so bad to the certain point where I was like writing down these observations I had about life, and I was convinced that, and I wouldn't really talk to really anyone about this, it's kind of like a personal thing, but I was convinced that angels were like communicating to me, like through these...
Before you went in, yeah.
Before I went into the 12 tribes, and like my whole thing was trying to figure out what is this message that's being communicated, and like I was just curious. So long story short, I get to this point in my life where I'm kind of questioning what I'm doing. Like, why? Like, what am I doing? Like, okay, what if 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like, is what I'm doing going to be fulfilling? These kind of questions. And I got really sad, and I was really lonely. Like, I live in LA. It's kind of like hard to make friends, like real kind of like meaningful friends that you can trust and rely on.
Yeah.
Like that is a rare thing in this city. I'm finding, and so I was just at this place where I was kind of like really low in like my heart. I never felt like this kind of thing in my heart before, and I remember like looking up in the sky and being like trying to look for answers. Like, why do I feel this way? And just getting like a very reassuring sort of sense of just keep doing what you're doing, and you're kind of gonna like end up where you need to be type thing. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm going on, and this was around the time of my birthday in April. I'm kind of like, I have a desire. I'm looking for community. I'm like, I'm lonely. I want to find community. So long story short, I run into these two guys I see on the side of the street. I'm in Venice at the time, riding my bike around doing bicycle deliveries for like Uber or whatever, Uber Eats, and I run into these two people, and they look different. Like, they're different. Like, I just remember looking in their eyes and seeing like a purity. Like a purity I've never seen. It's like a type of like a spirit or like an energy, like a vibe that I've never sensed before. And I was curious. I was like, what do y'all do? What kind of food do you eat? All these kind of things. Like every time I see someone who looks healthy, I'm always asking, well, what kind of food do you eat? Like what kind of like, well, what do you do for exercise? And they're like, oh, well, we dance.
You had to add on to this. You were a professional skateboarder at the time, right?
Yeah, I would consider myself more kind of like an amateur, but I was building a skateboard team. I was sponsored skateboarder. That was one of the things I was doing. I was trying to build a skate shop in Venice Beach, a second location of a business, kind of franchise the business out. So that was part of the reason I was in Venice, like skateboarding scene type stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then basically you saw their energy and you just wanted to join. And
so I asked them, I'm like, yo, like, what are y'all doing? Why are you out here with backpacks? I just see two people. I see one person sitting down with two backpacks. So I'm like, oh, must be people traveling together. So they tell me that they're on this like walk where they're just looking to seek and save people like me. And I'm like, why are you here? Like for people like you? I'm like, oh, okay. So they basically invited me to come to the farm. And this is after like I'd spent like hours with them. Like the reason why I went to that location in the first place, which is like this whole spiritual story, like leading up to that point with a lot of details, and we don't have time to get into. But I literally like felt like guided to this location, and my thought was just, oh, I'm gonna get a burger. But like there's a reason why I had that thought, and so I see them with the bags, I ask them what they're doing, and they're telling me they're on this like 5-day event where they're not having no money, nowhere to go. They're just like out looking for food for a week, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. And like this is like I met them on their first day. So it turns out everyone in their whole community worldwide decided to send out two people the same week, which was the days of Passover. So I thought that was like ultra significant, and like based on all my journaling up until that point, and especially that day itself, like I knew like I for sure have to like go check this place out at a minimum. So I just ended up like riding my bicycle out, and checked it out, and then I just basically
Never left.
until I was sent away. Yeah.
So, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but well, I guess we'll get into how you ended up leaving at the end if we're going to go in chronological order. But I did hear you say that you referred to it as a cult when we were talking before the thing. Is that your opinions on it now? Like, just so like, because I don't really know like what your like opinions are of the community. Like, are you like? Obviously, you're still talking to Nathaniel, so you're not like completely broken off. Because some of the members we talked to that are ex-members, like, I want to take them down. Let's see them burn. Like my life goal is to take down the 12 tribes. But you are still in like communication with them, so that's obviously not you. So, but at the same time, then you also called it a cult. So is that like, are you only calling it that because we called it a cult, and you're trying to like make us feel comfortable, or are you like what's your opinions on it pretty much right now?
So I say cult. I don't like using the word cult because it's emotionally charged. It's like similar thing that the CIA did with the term.
I've been purposely trying to call it a community, not a cult, ever since you've been here. But
yeah, so I mean, cult's negatively charged, so that's why I try not to use it. You're invoking emotion to other people. So I try to use the word community, but I go back and forth of like, so cult just is short for culture, you know. But that word's kind of been like, you know, misappropriated with like certain intentions, so that's why I try to stay with it. It's like similar situation with the N-word, where it's like that word was like emotionally charged for a reason, so a lot of people just decide not to use it. That's kind of how I feel about it. I'll use it because I'm not so like strict. I'm not like a very like strict type of person, which is crazy why I ended up living here for the community for 2 years. So I'm like mixed, like, because there's clearly I think some good that a lot of people never get the chance to realize, but then there's obviously like challenges and issues with what they want to do, which is kind of like a lot of the stuff that people see, like some of the negative stuff. So there's you know both sides of the coin.
So I guess we should probably start with the day Danny and I showed up, because we showed our perspective of how everything went down, but we never showed your guys' perspective because you're the first person to, like, I guess, not be in the community anymore since we've done our series. So we always said, like, if someone comes out, we'd love to, like, hear what the other side is, you know? So you're out now, and now we get to hear the other side. So I think this would be a good moment to play the video on screen. I basically came up with, can you hover the mouse over the thing? Is that possible? Oh, nice. So basically what I did is, just so the audience is aware, last night I rewatched the entire series. It was like 3 or 4 hours long, like 18 episodes. I watched the whole thing, and I basically cut down all the moments that you're in it, and I cut down just a lot of the unanswered questions, you know, and if anything's like too personal for you, we can always skip over it. But as of now, we're going to play the intro just so everyone kind of, just a little refresher. I guess, can you play it? I can't.
This is the Yellow Deli, a popular restaurant you can find all around the world.
There we go. Yeah, so you actually, and then I think you should raise us a little bit on the thing. That way, here, I got it. No, this, that way we're not cut off. Boom, there we go. And then I think you can just click on.
Black magic.
Nice. Are we back? Okay, so sorry. Let's restate what we just said again. So basically, this was like our first interaction. You actually filmed that video. So I saw a rope swing. I was like, dude, I gotta do a double backflip. And then I think you told me, you were like, I'm a professional skateboarder, or like I'm a sponsored skateboarder. Like I'm about to be sponsored by Red Bull and stuff. And then I gave it all up to be here. And I was like, yo, I'm a sponsored slackliner. And like we just connected like super hard. And you were actually the only one that thought that was cool. In the video, you're like, yeah, dude, like send it. And then Nathaniel came up to me afterwards, and he's like, showing off is an evil thing. He's like, that will send you to hell if you show off. He's like, we all have to, because it's like, I guess like boastful for me to. I was like, I'm not trying to show off. I just wanted to see if I could do a double backflip. Like I've never done a double backflip, but that was my first double backflip ever on a rope swing. I was like, that just seems fun to me, but. It was, I don't know, I guess you can probably explain why it's evil better than I can, but yeah, I remember like everyone in the community hated, like thought that was like an evil action that I did that.
Yeah, so there's an interesting story with that rope swing, man. So
you built it too, right?
No, that thing has been there for a while, but so I was using that rope swing randomly, and I had been like seeking, you could say, like doing it. So like you were trying to see if you could do a double backflip. Like that was your intention. I had been using that rope swing to kind of like elevate my status. Like, look what I can do compared to everyone else. Like, look at me. So that is kind of like, and like I ended up on the rope swing. I go and I slip off.
Oh, you told me about this. I remember. Yeah.
I slip off, and then my finger is like crooked. Like, completely almost ripped off like my hand, like hanging there for nothing. Literally just from holding onto the rope. And like I'm in like pretty decent shape. You know, we're eating like organic food there. So it's like for my finger to almost get ripped off just from using the rope swing, to me I realized, oh, this is like a message. And there's like stuff I was kind of dealing with personally. So to me I realized like, oh, I shouldn't do that. So what happens is like in the community, like part of like how they accrue wisdom, like because one of the things they're building is a collective wisdom for many different people and many different like, you know, life experiences. So what they'll do is they'll like, look, oh, well, we learned a lesson. So maybe like doing crazy tricks and bringing attention to yourself, maybe that's not so good. Kind of like similar situation as like the hypothetical situation y'all propose where it's like, oh, well, if this is the case, well then probably this is what this means. Like trying to figure out like, you know, reality. So it's like for them to say that is like, it's based on that, like, because really what it comes down to is how it affects the children. Like when people say, oh, don't say this word or don't try not to say that, this, it's like people are just so concerned about their children there that they're like really fight for what they're exposed to. Like, I respect that. I think it's a good thing that they care about the children so much that they're really concerned about every little thing that gets exposed to them.
Dang. Well, should we keep playing the video? Oh, wait, you want to add something, Danny? Or?
No, it's just when you asked them the question before you started the video, you kind of asked like, oh, are you still in touch with Nathaniel? Like, you're out, but do you still kind of believe what they believe still, or are you just out? Like, are you out? Like Ben was like, some people when they're out, they're like, I want to take them down, but then you still contact Nathaniel. Like, kind of where are you at? Like, even though you're out, do you still believe some stuff that they believe still, or are you just out and just still have some friends in the community, so you kind of like still stay in touch with them? But
so I lived there for 2 years, you know, and like I know like I made genuine connections with some of these people, and so that spirit or that kind of thought process that you all are talking about of like, oh, like I hate this place even though I was living there and I was fooled, so now I hate this place. Like that came to me because I was asked to leave several different times, and for various reasons, but that thought did come to me, that hateful thought of like, I want to destroy this place. But I just realized like there's more to life and what's happening on this planet than just like my emotions in that moment. So I didn't let that get the best of me.
But like I'm saying, how do you feel now about what they believe in? Like, are you fully out where you're like, I don't believe anything they believe anymore? or are you just out but then still kind of believe a little bit what they still believe?
So the reason I was attracted to them in the first place is because there are a lot of things that I agree with them. Like, I think it's good to have boundaries and consequences for not only people but also children. So there's there's a lot of stuff that they believe, that they feel is like moral and right for humanity, that I agree with, and it's kind of like, it used to be common sense, but it's like common sense is like not a thing anymore. So they're trying to like bring back common sense of like things that we know work for humans on a large scale. So I kind of agree with that fundamentally, and I think it's kind of brilliant how they're going about it. And so like there's definitely things that maybe they're not doing as good as they could be doing. Like
we'll get into more specifics in this, because you're right. Even like someone who did, like, I would call what we did a hit piece on them, but there are things that I can give them, like redeeming qualities, that I'm like, this, like, maybe if society picked up these qualities, society would be better, you know? And I think it's not all good, and I don't think it's all bad. I think there's some like terrible things they do, and this is just my opinion. Everyone can have their own opinion on it, but I think, in my opinion, I think there's some like really terrible things they're doing, but there's also some good things they're doing, you know? And I think it's kind of a spectrum. And I'm assuming it's probably the same with you right now also, right? If I'd assume correct, where there's some things that you don't like, because obviously you'd still be in it if it was like 100% good. But there's other things that it is good, where it's like, maybe like I can learn from this and use this to make my life better.
Absolutely.
Question, why were you asked to leave?
Yeah, so it was different. So the first time, so I'm just trying to like understand what details are relevant to make this story make sense. So basically, I was like kind of in a fight. Like everyone who's in that community is like trying to get purified from the impurities that, you know, they believe are like inherited from like lineage. But even that aside, like everyone has like, you know, their own little demons to fight or whatever, their own battles. So I was going through that. And I had kind of like made like I guess it's like a monumental stand against the corruption in me that was leading me that direction. And what happened was a very similar experience. The only way I can describe the experience is to what happened after the Son of God was baptized in the Bible. If you go back and read that story, the first thing that happens when it says like the Holy Spirit comes to him after he was baptized was he goes into the forest, he flees into the forest, where he doesn't eat anything, and I imagine he's not sleeping very well too, because if you've ever been in a forest and you're not eating, you're hungry, probably not sleeping. So basically, what happened to me, like I couldn't sleep. Like so it's like something that came to me. Like
this is after you're out, you couldn't sleep.
This was like
while you're still in, you couldn't
question.
sleep.
Yeah,
okay.
While I'm still in, like
okay.
So there's this thing that started happening. So randomly, I just one night couldn't sleep. And I'm like, oh, strange. But like I was feeling very I was operating on a high level on the spiritual plane at this point, so to speak. So I knew like it was just like a test for me or whatever, that I had to see what was gonna happen. So first night, okay, nothing happens. And like workload's the same. So second night, okay. After the second night, no sleep, I'm starting to think
2 nights no sleep. That's intense with that workload.
I'm starting to think like I'm really like, in those nights, all I'm doing is praying all night, because what else am I going to do? Maybe I can get up and read. So I'm just like praying and really seeking with my whole heart. So on that third day is when things like, it's like when the test really starts happening. So like the one thing I remember is, I don't know if you remember, like on Thursday night, there'd be these things called Thursday night cleanups before the Sabbath or whatever, where everyone would clean our houses and everyone had certain responsibilities. So like, as I'm not sleeping and I'm also not eating, I'm getting like this like very like pure source of like energy and focus, and I'm like using it just to serve, because that's kind of what the community is all about, is just like serve your brother, serve your sister. Is kind of what it's all about. And so I'm doing the Thursday night cleanup wholehearted. The guy with the glasses who was saying the stuff about Lydia, he was like, hey, can you make sure that you clean this specific dishwasher? Because it would get, a little corrosion, like the limescale on the outside. So I'm like, okay, yes, I'll do that. But I had already made an agreement to myself, I guess you say, between me and God, that I was just going to give my whole heart and just really like detail the kitchen. Because, sometimes, you're like cut corners, like, oh, I'm not going to do this, not going to do that. So it's getting to the point where everyone else is tapping out. all the other single brothers, because it's like, single brothers, go do this, okay? So everyone else like, come on, Shomer, let's quit, Shomer. And they're like, wrap it up, Shomer. And they're like,
You just worked too hard?
wrap it up. They're like making fun of me. And I'm like, 2 days no sleep, working my heart out. And I'm like, huh? Like, my brothers are trying. I'm like, oh, this is like an opportunity for me to love. And that was like a hard moment because I was so kind of angry that they didn't like have the same heart that I did, which was just to serve, you know? So they all go to bed and I try to finish up or whatever. I didn't sleep again that night.
Or it's like where you get permanent brain damage at that point.
3 days no sleep.
Were you like hallucinating at that point?
Yeah, so after the third night, that's when I started like, it was like really bad because the whole time I'm trying to pray and kind of like, you know, like figure out what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
And so basically on the third night, what happened was like, I know I'm not going to sleep. Like I have way too much energy. I would like start like I just have so much energy. I'm like, there's no way I was going to sleep. And I'd try to like channel that energy for productive things, but it's like, you can only do so much in your mind before you actually have to use your energy into the physical world to like create change. So the third night I decided to get up and I go into like that house, the packing house, like the storage unit where we would put all the produce.
Yeah.
There's like a freezer and a thing. So I go there and I just start like literally reenacting. I was pretending I was getting filmed like with multiple angles, and I was reenacting different forms of violence throughout the ages, like just randomly, like in my head, like doing these skits.
Well, you're probably hallucinating. Like 3 days no sleep. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was tripping. I was trying to hold together.
Like I would probably be doing something equally as crazy if I had 3 days no sleep.
So that night, I kind of was like just kind of like making a commotion, just moving around, dancing. But literally in my head, I was like going through like different types of violence that other people have experienced.
Uh-huh.
And so that was kind of like a weird healing trauma thing where I was like going into other people's trauma and like doing this weird like intuitive energy work thing I was doing. But obviously like the same thing that happened like when the Son of God went to the forest for 4 days, people are like, this guy's crazy. Like, what's wrong with him? So that's kind of what's happening to me. They were like, he's crazy. What's wrong with him? And then I was like kind of yelling a little bit. Like I went on a walk. I was like yelling, but really there was like there's something in my heart that wasn't at rest. So long story short, basically I was losing my mind and they asked me to leave because I was kind of going crazy. And that was a whole interesting story what happened. Once they sent me to downtown LA, basically just got me a train ticket and said, it would be best for you right now to not be here. So they just sent me away, right?
But when you're a baptized disciple, you have to give up everything. So you don't have any money or anything. So what happens?
So they basically just said, oh, well, they basically connected me back with the situation I was back with before, which was with my parents. So, but basically, yeah, they just gave me a train ticket and like said like, you can't be here. And I was like, okay. And then the events that happened after that were kind of really interesting.
What was the final straw of why you was that the main reason you were kicked out, or?
For that first time, yeah. So there was like 3 times. So one time I was just asked to leave, like just you can't be here right now. And like the outcry from the other people in the community was so great that they were saying like, oh, we're gonna go get him.
Yeah, I feel like everyone loved you there, dude. Like you were like always like you danced the hardest out of everyone dancing. You always danced the absolute hardest when we were doing the circle dances. You were always like I remember one time we were like done with work. It was like a 12-hour work day or whatever, and I was so tired. And you were like, Ben, let's make some kombucha. I got some grapefruits or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm so tired, but like, I did it anyways because you were just so passionate about it. Like, you just wanted to work even after like everyone was like, oh, I'm just so tired. You were just like. And then we were gonna build a pull-up bar, like a muscle-up bar.
I started building it, man.
I got kicked out before we could build it, but yeah, I would have helped you build that. But you were just like the most initiative person in there for sure. Maybe Nathaniel was at your level also, but you and Nathaniel were like the 2 people of like, okay, let's make stuff happen, you know?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like the way it's structured. So like the way they understand authority is so interesting, and that's like probably one of like the greater mysteries of life that I think a lot of people never even dive down because it's so tainted. Like people have like this negative view of what authority is, and The Prince by Machiavelli goes into it. But yeah, man, like I was So there's an outcry of the people in the community that were saying, we're going to go and leave and get him and bring him back. So they basically said, oh, you can come back after about a week. But there was like no like, there was no like addressing like that incident. It was kind of just like swept under the rug, where they weren't like, hey, what's going on? Like, I think they tried, but like, it's hard to really understand what that was, what happened, like why, what was the purpose. But yeah, so that happened.
Just no sleep. You're going crazy. I mean, anyone would do that. I guarantee if any of the other members in that community were in 3 days no sleep, they would be doing equally crazy things probably, or they'd just be sleeping. But if they were forced to stay awake, you go crazy after 3 days of no sleep for sure.
So you come back after a week. They try to open up a little bit. It's not really that working. They're not really understanding you.
So,
but then you stay.
Did they think you were like possessed by Satan or something, or like what was that?
Yeah, I don't know so much what they were thinking. So, but like when I came back, I'm just like really stuck on like the events that happened to me when I left were like, it's just hard to describe. But anyway, so I come back and it was kind of like as if nothing happened, like back to normal, back to business as usual. But it was always kind of like, oh, Shamir's struggling. He needs help. But there wasn't really a tangible means.
You just needed sleep.
For them to provide the help. Yeah, so that was like an instance. That was like something really what drove that was like I have joy when everyone's has peace.
Uh-huh.
When everyone has peace, like I can be joyful. But there was like different things I was like sensing that were in the community that weren't being dealt with, and it was driving me insane. Because like I was like, I don't know if these things can ever be dealt with.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, so I come back and it's kind of like business as normal, but it was always kind of like, oh, watch out, Shamir's a little crazy. Like, don't push him too hard, kind of, you know? Dang.
I remember one time you were like kind of, the only time I saw you pissed off a little bit, or like kind of passive aggressive in there, was you were like, dude, I came up with a really good idea. Instead of us walking to the deli, what if we got bikes to the deli and we get there faster? And you're like, it's such a great idea. But the leaders didn't approve of it, and we all have it's like one body, one mind, so we all have to think the same. So if they don't like it, then I'm not allowed to like it either. But I could tell in your tone of your voice, you were like kind of pissed off. You're like, I came up with a really good idea, you know, and you were always like trying to like innovate and like make things better. But yeah, they didn't. I guess maybe they just didn't like it. I thought all your ideas were great. I thought every single idea you came up with was great, but while we were in there, but I don't know, maybe that's why we're kicked out now.
Yeah, well, there's this, yeah, so I definitely was like a kind of person where I'm going to share what's on my heart, and like that's what really makes that community so valuable, is because when everyone's doing that, it's just such a beautiful life. And like that can happen like anywhere, like anyone, if people just start being honest and open, and like, you know, people know about the, you know, the good and the bad of people and start sharing what's on their heart, like it creates amazing connections. But like, so and that created a lot of like jealousy and envy within the community, because people would see like I feel so strongly about these certain things, and like sometimes the leaders would actually listen to my ideas, like with like certain things, like in the kombucha, like I was kind of at a certain point, like after y'all left, like I was given like complete responsibility of that industry, and like I just did everything I could to make it like organic certified. I just put everything, because you know, it's one of those things where it's like I just saw like the opportunity for people who were in a similar situation like me. Like, yeah, I could have gone, completed my software engineering degree, worked for Microsoft, IBM, Google, wherever, you know, kind of had like this kind of life or whatever, and been, you know, satisfied to a degree. But I think there's so many people who kind of like want more from life, and like just the way our culture is, it's not really structured in a way that facilitates like the kind of human connection that humans need and crave, you know, and ultimately desire.
So then what ended up finally getting you kicked out? Is that something you're down to talk about, or is that, because you said that might be kind of an iffy subject for you, or?
Yeah, so
we don't have to talk about it if it's like too personal,
basically
but
what it comes down to was like self-control, really. And I'll leave it at that.
You can leave it vague if you want.
Well, so you didn't escape? That's like,
you got kicked out, yeah.
Oh.
So they asked me to leave, and then they let me come back. But then eventually they sent me on a 6-month discipline. So that's like the main form of punishment in the community is exile.
So here's another question. So obviously, if you're not with the community, you're banished to the Lake of Fire, right?
In theory, yeah.
So are you scared of going to the Lake of Fire, or?
You know, I think. Well, I've had a death experience before. So it's like, I'll tell you this. So basically, I just like randomly, this is a long time ago, I just kind of like fainted, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm going from like literally whatever into white light, kind of like there's actually a book in First John that talks about the all white light, like everything was all white. Like I was kind of in this space, but it was like I was like in spirit form. Like I didn't have a body. The only thing I had was like kind of like my sense of consciousness and this warm fluid. It felt like I was in a fluid. Like a warm fluid surrounded by bright white light. And the only experience for me, it was terrifying. Like it felt good, it felt warm, but my expression was like, no, not like this, no, basically begging for my life. So I don't know what was on the other side of like that experience. I just know that I was brought to that point, and then afterwards, what I thought about what was death changed. Like it wasn't like a fear-based thing. It was just like this has been happening for so long. It's gonna keep happening. Like why would I be afraid of something that's like?
So you think that's something maybe
already.
12 Tribes gets wrong then? If you were able to make it to the light, and they say if you're not with us, then you're going to the red, then that would mean maybe there's more than what you were taught in that community than you think, and there might be like more answers out there that you're still searching for.
So like me personally, like I don't get a lot too much into like the so like in Christianity there's like a huge flaw where they get into these like kind of like debates about like, oh well y'all think this and that, well we think this and that, and it's like a division culture of like, oh you're wrong here, you're wrong here, you're wrong here, like this is why we're separate. Whereas the reason what really drew me to that lifestyle was that it was like a solution-based thing where it was like, well, we're here now, like they kind of like, and like, yeah, they'll talk, they have their beliefs or something, but they're more so on the lived life than the theory. They're more so practitioners than theory crafters of theology. So they're more so like, well, let's just do the best we can while we're here with what we know now. And that's kind of where they stood. And I respected that as kind of like a wise thing, because that's not something on my own, like left to my own initiative, that like I would just willingly do.
What about like the prophecy that like the mark of the beast is going to come and kill everyone that's not farming their land and stuff, and the 144,000 virgins? Like, if you're not a part of that anymore, are you going to be on the bad side of the prophecy if you still believe in it, or?
Well, I'm not going to take a brain-computer interface. That was probably one of the best parts about living in that community, was not having to rely on a computer to survive. But I just had to rely on other human beings. So to answer your question, I don't want anything to do with the mark of the beast. I don't want a brain. I don't want my computer linked up to a brain. Oh, sorry. I don't want my brain linked up to a computer like BCI, like Neuralink. Yeah. I think to me that's basically the mark of the beast, and like we're already racing towards that direction, and I want to do what I can to kind of like not be a part of it. I do hope to return back to the community at some point, because I think it would be like, so I have hopes of returning, but I'm not rushing back to return, if that makes sense. Like, I'm pretty confident that there are certain events that need to take place with me outside the community before I can come back, if I choose to. But I'm definitely willing to return.
You think, because what they like kind of drilled into us is like, you can't leave. Like when Lydia was like dead in our storyline, like dying, they wouldn't even let me leave to go like see her, like, because her dying wishes was to see me one more time, because they were like, if you leave, like, you're gonna go to like the Lake of Fire, you know? And so like they really drilled in our heads, like, you have to be with us or else you're going to the Lake of Fire. So, but you're starting to think now, like, just because you're not with them doesn't mean you're not immediately going to the Lake of Fire. Like, there's other ways to like be with God without the community, you think? Or is it still kind of like you're still in the unknown, you're still trying to figure it all out? Or
so, I mean, personally, it's like the frame of the Lake of Fire, it's a very like, it's like a Christian frame. I don't really subscribe to it, that it's like a Like, I don't think it's as simple as we think, that process. Like, I think it kind of transcends like a binary good and bad, like after death. So I don't really try not to think about it too much in terms like that. But like, so I definitely think like just from observing life, we can clearly see that there's always consequences to choices. I think that's pretty clear.
Do you ever see yourself going back?
Yeah, dude, I kind of like, I would like to go back, but yeah, I would like to go back, but I think there's changes that need to happen on both sides for there to be a reunion. Like, there's changes I need to make.
Yeah.
For sure, which is why I'm not there anymore. And then there's like, I think there's certain like things just like spiritually that need to happen in, you know, different, you know, leaders and members' lives as well.
So if you've been out for like a year, you're saying you would feel like you'd be more happier back there than out here?
Dude, it was like, it's like, for me, it was like the perfect life. I didn't have to worry about the things in life. I didn't care about like finances and like bills and stuff like that. I got to be close to nature. Or like, so it was like, to me, like, it was a really ideal lifestyle. It was very challenging though, because the whole life is centered around like literally like dealing with like these things that have come into humanity's existence that have to get dealt with. Like, for example, if a room gets dirty, someone has to clean it, or the room's always dirty. So it's like, and it's a labor that no one wants to do, but it has to be done.
Do you think the community conditioned you to think like that, or do you think that's actually the reality of the situation?
So I try to do my best to think for myself. So to be a part of that community, I did have to forego.
Because you're not allowed to think for yourself in the community. It's one body, one mind. So like how you said before, like you had to think that your bicycle idea was a bad idea because the community thought it was a bad idea. So do you think that's how the community thinks, so that's how you have to think? Or do you think that they're like training you to think like that so you stay in the community and do the work?
There's like multiple levels. So like I said, I definitely try to, you know, think from myself the best that I can, but we're always being influenced. So there's definitely ways that the community structures itself to preserve itself. For example, having bicycles, the chance of someone having a bad mood or an argument with someone over something and getting on a bike and leaving, you know, I guess that's like a fear. But at the end of the day, we always make decisions based on faith or fear, you know? So that's like one thing, like, yeah. So, I mean, I would say my thinking evolved from being in the community on a deeper level, like a level that I didn't really know existed. And that's kind of like what I've been doing my whole life. Like, I'm always interested in learning about new things, new beliefs. Because, like, I don't even think it's possible to know personally, but I don't even claim to know what happens after you die. And I feel like I've been close to that point. Like, I can't even say I claim, like, that was me dying. I just know, like, that was an experience. That was, like, a near-death experience that I had.
It's actually surprising that you say that. That's actually kind of the same belief that I have is, like, I don't know what happens after we die, you know, because no one's ever died. Like, we can't talk to them because they're dead, you know? So it's like we don't know what happens. And I think anyone that claims to know what happens is just, like, this is my personal opinion, is they're, like, it's like me claiming to know what's in this like mystery box, you know, it's like, I don't know, I haven't opened it yet, you know, and so we haven't died, so we wouldn't know. It's just my personal opinion. But it's strange that you say that, because I think a lot of like religions and a lot of like, especially the community, they're like, this is what happens after you die, you know, and like, if you don't do this, you're going to go here, and if you do this, you go here. But so it's interesting that you say that, and then that you also want to go back where they say this is what happens and we have the answers, you know. But that's just an observation.
Should we go back to the clips?
Yeah, should we go back to the clips?
Let's do it.
Sorry, we can get it more lighthearted again.
Yeah,
clip, I was like, yo, have you guys ever heard of dubstep? Whoa, whoa, whoa. And he's like, what's that? He's like, what's dubstep? I'm like, it goes, whoa, 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 wah! You know, like, and we were just doing that the entire time we were there. So like, if that was us, like, because we kind of wanted to show like in the video, we thought it was funny of like, okay, we're just gonna be these like goofballs going to this like very, very serious like cult is like the premise pretty much. So like, what were you guys like thinking when like we showed up like acting like that, I guess?
Well, so it's like, it's interesting to me, like, how you all, like, have, like in your head, like, what the, like, you know, what the group thinks, like, that, you know, that it's interesting because it's, like, there's, like, how you perceive, and then there's also, like, the reality of it, and then it's based on your observation, so it's not far from the truth. But I'm sorry. So what was the question again?
Like, what did you guys think of us, pretty much? Because we're just like being like stupid in there. Like we're just saying the stupidest things, being like goofballs. And like, are you guys like, dude, these guys are definitely going to hell? Or like, are you guys like, like, what are you guys thinking? Like,
they're just kind of like wondering, like what, like a lot of people saw the facade and they were questioning it. They were like, oh, why is like, oh, the virgin things, like almost every like thing that y'all brought up was questioned by someone at some point. So there's a lot of skepticism. Like there's a lot of skepticism, even though like I said, there was like, I think there was like a willing disbelief where it's like, even like you look at the clip that first night, there's Nathaniel, one of the main people, his child, sharp child. I was sitting next to him at the dinner table, and afterwards you see him in the clip, and it's like, oh, there's that he saw the charging point. He's like, oh, I see, that's where you charge it. This kid has never dealt with a cell phone in his life. This kid doesn't know. He's never put a charger thing into something before. He's maybe seen his father put in like a drill bit to charge it or something. So for him to say that on the first day, it's like, whoa.
Did you guys talk about that the next day at all, or anything about that?
Yeah, Nathaniel's like brought it up, but it's like there was like a willing disbelief where it's like, even though like people kind of knew, like these stories are kind of like, because like people come there and say all kinds of stories, so people, the emotional intelligence there is incredibly high. Like you're not gonna like really like yeah, like people are gonna like, they're gonna listen to you and hear your stories, but like people can like I guess like, I mean, there's like the clairvoyance, I guess you could say, of a lot of the people there are kind of like somewhat developed. So I think people were really hopeful. It was like super encouraging. People were like, "Oh man, like, wow, it'd be so cool for these people to get saved."
We were
but
trying
like,
to speed run it, you know. Like our goal was how fast can we get baptized? And I think I asked, they're like, normally it takes like 2 to 3 years. Is that about correct?
It varies from person to person, man. Some people it's been like quick, and then other people, I think on average it's about like a month, because that's around the time it takes to see if someone's like legit or not.
And I was like, I want to do it as fast as possible. It took me about 3 weeks, I think, right? And I was about to be baptized. I was like 3 or 4 days away, and then so we just said all the right things you guys wanted to hear. We're like, we're virgins. We're down to give up everything. We're here to do whatever you guys need, and we'll do the work. We'll do the everything. Just get us baptized as fast as possible and tell us all the secrets.
Yeah.
But,
did we go too hard on the virgins where people were like, why are they saying that so much?
Yeah, people were wondering, like, why are they, like, do they know, like, you don't have to be a virgin to, like, be a part of the community?
I kept telling it to Danny, too. I was like, dude, we don't have to, like, be a virgin. Like we can be, like, sinners and still be part of the community. Like, but Danny's like, no, we got to be perfect. And I was like, I'm down to be perfect.
It was an interesting angle. I think that helped y'all out because people felt, like, sympathy. Like, a lot of people bought it.
Yeah, that was my like role. Like I felt like I wasn't like Ben's so good at like what he does, and I was trying to play the sympathy card. Like I was made fun of for being a virgin, and I wanted people to feel bad for me. But yeah, I might have played it on too hard though, because I did have a whole speech about I'm a virgin and I'm proud of it.
So wait, that's in the clip. We're gonna play that later. But one of the things I wanted to ask, we kind of skipped over it, was Nathaniel ever suspicious that we were like secretly filming with that camera? Like, was he ever, because he was like, I saw the light, but did he think that it was just like a suspicious light, that like, oh, maybe these are like smart glasses, or did he ever like mention that maybe we're filming? Or
I don't know if he specifically brought up filming, but yeah, it's interesting to me that y'all made it so long, because there was so many red flags. Like people in the room were like, I was looking at your bag. I'm like, that's an interesting bag. Like I know a lot about bags. I used to like work out of a bag and deliver stuff from a bag.
Wait, my bag wasn't a red flag, that was it?
Well, yeah, I didn't. It wasn't to me. I didn't notice, but someone was like, "That's a film bag. Like that's a bag for film equipment specifically."
I think you. I
The
think you.
black one,
Yeah,
not that one.
Yeah, Ben. I
Right
think it was
there.
that
That's
one.
not a filming bag. Yeah, that is the
was-
bag I had, but that's actually a marijuana bag.
It was something else. It was one of the bags.
Marijuana
you had.
bag.
It's a weed company. So Michael did I think so some like weed company came up to me when I was slacklining and they're like, hey, can I get some sweet like clips of you for like our commercial? And I was like, sure, I'm down. And they gave me that backpack and some like shirts that say like Rove, and so it's like it's like a weed company. No, it's not a filming bag at all.
This is getting good. Wait, so what they say about the bag?
They were just one of the single brothers that were in the room with us.
And
We're
wait,
saying
I got it through slacklining, which would have matched up with the story I gave you guys. So that shouldn't have been
there
a
was
red flag,
another
but-
bag. There's another bag. It was shaped kind of like weird, like kind of like.
No, that bag is shaped weird. It is
Yeah,
that bag.
it is that bag.
Yeah, no,
remember
I
it is
know
that
what you're
bag.
talking about. Like, it
There was
doesn't look like a
another
normal
bag
backpack.
that wasn't that one though that you had.
I don't have a
Anyways,
backpack.
so I guess they had seen like someone. Well, Khalil was like, oh, that looks like a film bag for film equipment. So he was like. He was the one who was like, I wonder if they're filming. But a lot of this stuff was after the fact.
Question.
Yeah.
Did ever anyone snoop on Ben and Danny's stuff?
Not really that I know of.
Okay. So, like, no one went
So
through
we
their
were
things.
just paranoid for no reason. Dang.
So
'Cause we were like trying to hide all
curious.
of our like spy stuff, and like we just like we were like hiding it super well just in case you guys were going through our stuff. But I guess you guys never did.
Wait, so
I mean, someone might have. Like, I didn't. Like, I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
Like, someone else could have.
were people more skeptical about me than Ben?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, no.
No, a lot of it had to do with the fact that like he's like, oh, he's leaving earlier. Like the trust thing, y'all hit like pretty spot on with like trying to build the trust. Aside from like the virgin thing, like being appealing, like that wouldn't like really help you get baptized more faster so much. It's all based on like the desire you express from your heart.
Yeah, but what about my story that I was house sitting and then after a month I was gonna live there? No, everyone still thought that was weird.
I thought it was a great story, Danny.
Thank you.
I thought it was like honestly like me, it didn't resonate with me because like I just sensed it was contrived. I guess in retrospect, I was just like I appreciated you for like being willing to like communicate this thing, but like. It didn't stir my heart at all. You have to imagine, like, this is all these people do, is they, like, share what's on their heart and, like, hear it. So it's like, if you're not being authentic, like no one's going to be, like, you're not going to move anyone.
Yeah.
So
So
you
it's
would have
like,
fooled me, Danny, if I was there.
I would say logically, they were fooled just to kind of, like, not go against groupthink, but emotionally, I guess they say emotionally some people were, like, even I was, so check this
Wait,
out.
that's a great point. That's a great point. I think I know exactly what you're saying, that I think we got away with a lot of things because people didn't want to call us out because it would have gone against the group. And I think that is a
Right.
number one reason we got away with a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, if I call them out, then now I might be going against God because what if they're not wrong? And then now I'm calling out someone who's forgot, you know? And it's like, I completely agree with what you just said.
And then what were you gonna say?
It slipped my mind. Oh, so when one of the gatherings y'all weren't at, there's something on my heart I just wanted to share. It was like some sort of interesting happening, like because like I was going through this similar thing where like my grandmother passed away. It's like not long after I joined the community, and like I love my grandmother. That's the whole reason I was in Southern California, just live with my grandmother, for be there with her, and so I like didn't go back and I wanted to. And I almost just left. I almost kind of like did what you did in the video and just left, but I didn't because I rode my bike. So it would have been like a huge ordeal for me to ride my bike all the way back to LA.
Oh my gosh, that would have been days.
Yeah, it would have took 2 days at least to go there and back. So
I mean, if you can go like 3 days with no sleep, I think you can pull off the.
Yeah, if
check
anyone
this
could do it,
out.
you can do it.
Yeah.
so I'm talking about like the whole situation, and I was trying to like say something positive or so. I don't know what I was saying, but as soon as I brought up like the Julia situation or whatever, the guy with the glasses, name he was like, he's like, well, we don't know what happened. He was kind of just like, well, we don't know what happened.
Happened with what?
That situation, even though after you said that she had died, he's like, oh, well, we don't know what happened. We don't know yet. So he was like,
We'll get there. Let's keep playing the clip. 'Cause I think that's next on the clip actually.
oh yeah.
Oh,
be a surfer, and I realized that there's way more important things in life. Because I'm older now, I realized like, surfing was a selfish sport. It was very selfish. Like, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to sell my surfboards, and it was just kind of like bye-bye surfing, and now I'm going to be here every day, and this is my purpose in life. It was kind of like a goodbye surfing. This is what I want to do in my life. Yeah.
They don't actually see the reward. They don't understand how long eternity is. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna happen someday, right? It's gonna be crowded of people. So it's slow now, but it's gonna get like really fast really soon. At some point.
And you flew.
Okay, so just reiterate what we just watched there. That was you with long hair and a beard. We saw that, and basically that's us sitting in the yurt together, and I'm going like this, filming with my spy watch, and basically you're telling me like not to, like, basically I have to give up slacklining, and you're like, it's evil spirits that are telling you to slackline. And I guess my first question for you is that still something that you think, like, if I continue slacklining and I really enjoy it, is that an evil spirit? Like, is that something that's like a bad thing for me to do? Or have you kind of like changed your thinking on that? Or is that, do you still agree with what the community says on that? Or?
Well, yeah, you boiled down something that's actually kind of complex into something that a little simple. But so I think that human behavior is influenced by non-human beings, 100%. Like you said, you see these people, it looks like they're on drugs or whatever. Like people look, you know, I wonder if that's like and that's just my personal belief. Like I wonder if there's influences.
So you're saying it's not a
outside of humans.
So you're saying instead of it being like a chemical thing causing like schizophrenia, like maybe their brain's not developed all the way and it's like a little slow, kind of like when you're on lack of sleep, you think it's more like the spirits are like making them act it out in a non-human way.
To answer your question, I would say it depends on like what your intention is. So it's like, I think why you're doing something matters a whole lot more than what you're doing, but what you're doing is still somewhat important. So it's not that, what I was saying there, it's not that like doing extreme sports is like some evil thing. What I was communicating there was just how like what the motives were. There definitely was an incentive to like what you're saying, like get you to not do extreme sports, but really I was trying to give you understanding like the spirit that causes someone to seek their own glory, which is what like kind of like a lot of content creation, you know, it depends on your purpose. Like some people create content because they want to, you know, whatever, you know, seek their own. But then there's other people like you who I think actually have like a vision that's deeper than just the
actually that's something where we can agree on. I 100% agree with you on that. I think it's so cringe when people create just like garbage content because for the sake that they know it's going to go viral and then they're going to make a lot of money from it. I think that's super cringe. I've always been like, dude, I'm in YouTube for like the art of it, you know, like I just want to make the best videos possible. And like if I wanted to like hit the algorithm, I wouldn't take a 3-month break like I just did, you know. But like I want to create the best thing ever. And like the stuff that's coming, stay tuned because it's gonna be great. But yeah, I mean that's something where I can totally relate on you. And I think almost like probably I'd say over 90% of like big YouTubers are doing it for the money. And they're doing it so they can get famous, they can get like popular and stuff, and they're maybe creating content they don't actually want to create. They're just doing it because they know it gets views and they know that views get money. And I mean, we could go on this, but I think that's something where me and you could actually agree on this. And
that's why I love working with this guy. So he's my inspiration.
But what you were saying is
I respect you as well.
Bad to do extreme sports if you're doing it for the glory and you're doing it to get like, oh, I get laid all the time because I'm this popular athlete, you know, like that's not the right reason to do it. But if you truly love the sport, then you think it's okay to enter yourself in the extreme sports world.
Right. Like there's plenty of people, I'm sure like someone like Paul Rodriguez, a professional skater, would, you know, kind of like not only they're doing it, you know, to inspire, you know, other people to, you know, have fun or whatever it is. So it's like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, our economy now is so wealthy, like in terms of like where we can have people make a living just doing entertainment. Like numerous people make a living doing that. It's like we're in such a wealthy economy, so it's like it used to like, you know, when the economy was less developed, that was less of a reality. But
So here's another question then, because I think your mentality is now different than the 12 tribes mentality, which believes that all extreme sports are evil. You know, like they even had like a surfer. Remember, like they set up the little kid, and he's like, they're like, hey, do you want to come to the kingdom of God? And he's like, no, I'm too busy surfing, you know? And they literally, the metaphor is surfing evil, not surfing good, you know? So does your opinion differ with the community's view, or is there an overlap there where you can still go back and have that different opinions?
Yeah, I'm very much not so much of like a fundamentalist, like binary type of person. I'm very much of a shades of gray person.
I think everything's like a great, like there's great, like I am very much in that same belief also of like there's not good or bad. There's like some things are slightly good and slightly bad, you know, and there's things that are worse than others. Like it's not just all good or like something's purely bad. I
think
agree
context is incredibly important for sure, you know, absolutely.
But do you think that's something that the community of 12 tribes could improve on, maybe, of like adapting that belief more? Because, and you could tell me I'm wrong, like maybe, but the vibe I got when I was there is it is kind of like, this is good, this will send you to heaven, this will send you to the lake of fire, you know? It's kind of the vibe I got. Maybe I wasn't there for long enough, maybe they are more of this, but what's your opinion on that, do you think?
So I would say there's wisdom in the sense that, so it's like, you really have to understand, it's like what they want from life is like, you know, they want to kind of like do honest work and be fulfilled, like work that's going to help someone, you know, fundamentally, where it's like, you know, let's say if everyone, like, they're always thinking of like, well, what's the worst case scenario? Because like every sort of thing, like they've been running the community for so long, you know, it's almost been 5 decades they've been living this lifestyle. So they've just learned like it's better to like, you know, so I don't think sports are evil. Do I think that there's certain spirits that influence people's behavior? Absolutely. But it's to each their own to come to their own discernment. And unfortunately, we just live in a day and age where spiritual discernment is not even something that's talked about or valued as a culture, where it used to be like the most valuable thing, like the person with the most spiritual insights was like the person everyone appreciated and loved and like everyone would go to. And typically this would be like, you know, like a shaman who's like off on drugs half the time or in nature or whatever. Depending on different cultures, it's set up differently. But so I think...
are you afraid if you go back, you're going to have to change that belief that extreme sports are an okay thing? Or
so to me, I mean, there's just so much more stuff important. Like that's like such a minutia detail
it's just
for
a
me.
Small thing that you're like, I can give that thought up if there's like bigger things to worry about in your opinion.
Yeah, like the only thing like I was interested in extreme sports for me was learning, the art of learning, like the skill of learning, because like it's such an objective measure. Like skateboarding is super objective. I can do it, I can't. Okay, well, how good can I do it? How high can I do it? So that's kind of what it was. To me, the interesting thing of extreme sports wasn't like being nonconformist. I was really like not being a part of the group. Like to me, being a part of the group was not being a part of the group. So when I like ran into these people, I'm like, oh, wow, at least like how I felt my whole life, where it feels like everyone else is like missing something important, and like these people get it, kind of. That's kind of like how I felt. So it's like, so for me coming back to the community, like I'd probably I mean, I think like I would have to change like in the ways that caused me to not be in the community. But then there's probably would have to be like, you know,
a little piece of you would still be like, I still like extreme sports, even though you're not allowed to think that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's always going to be there. Like, I think skateboarding is a cool mode of transportation.
But do you see that as a sin, thinking that thought? Because they'll think that that's a sin.
Like, if you really drill into it, it's not that they, like, think it's an evil thing or it's a sin in and of itself, but it's just like a neutral tool for the evil one to use. Kind of.
Okay.
So it's like...
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's like more of like a neutral tool, but that tool can be used by anything or anyone to do for depending on what they want from life, you know?
Well, sick. Should we play the next clip? Or unless you have something, Danny? Or?
Oh, yeah, about my, because you played on there when I was giving up surfing. And I was just curious, did people believe that story? Did they think it was like cool that I did that or anything like that?
I would say that your story was highly questionable by everyone. Everyone was questioning your story. Like, yeah, Danny, like, I don't know, something about surfing. Like, I think they kind of like took it for face value, but there wasn't like conviction. People weren't like, oh yeah, I really trust Danny. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I will say this.
Ben kind of earned like won people's hearts, probably because of the time he spent.
I think also because Ben lives there, you know.
Yeah. I'll also say this. Our goal was how crazy of a story can we come up with and still not get kicked out. So that was kind of our goal. So kind of mission accomplished in a sense, you know.
So you're saying they talked that like after I did that later on, you guys talked and been like, oh, was that story real or fake or?
But it was a crazy story. We didn't get kicked out, so I think it was
you did a good job.
No, I'm just curious though.
Sorry, I interrupted. I'm so sorry. Go on.
So people would just bring up questions here and there, like randomly, like, oh, what do you think about this and that? You know, like they would talk people. It's like a very communicative culture. So people would definitely share their concerns or doubts, you know. But then there'd always kind of be like, more or less someone to be like, oh, well, what, like, no.
Did they enjoy me being there, or is it more like they respected Ben and they're like, maybe we can turn Danny, but he's just not ready yet?
I think they liked you, Danny. I think you're being too critical on yourself.
People just genuinely appreciate company there. Yeah. Like, that's kind of like the main source of entertainment there is people. So, like, yeah, for sure people appreciate it. I appreciated you being there.
Nathaniel literally told me to my face that he loves me, and I believed it. So I don't know if that was real or
they
fake.
Love everyone, Danny. It's called a love bombing.
I know. But this, like, felt like real love. It felt like real love to me. That's what I saw it in his eyes.
I think he really loved you.
There might be something to that, man.
Yeah.
Okay, should we play the next clip? Okay. Next clip is the 12 tribes' opinions on two people who are not of the same race getting married together.
Oh no. Ben, you have to hold your mic up.
That's true love. I didn't have to strive one bit. Like, worry about it. I said that people worry about it for me. I'm worried about my life. Someone else just worries about it for me, even who I'm marrying.
I wouldn't marry somebody outside of my race. It's the most attractive girl in the entire world. She's living her life fully to God. However, the one condition is she is not white. So that it wouldn't be good to marry her. Well, our father told Israel not to marry outside nations or give your daughters to them. It's just kind of the same with other cultures. Once cultures start getting mixed, it's like people don't know where they came from, actually. Really? Yeah.
Wait, keep going. Actually, keep going.
Genetics-wise, a lot of bad genetics come from it, too. Really? Like what? Different jaw sizes. Different diseases? Wait, you said different jaw sizes? Yeah.
But according to science, it says it's actually advantageous for mixed-race children since they have a greater chance of being immune to certain diseases or illnesses.
What do you think about the culture?
Okay, so...
You want to hear something fucked up? In that video where Ben posted that, the top comment were people commenting about how his arm was different.
It was
really mean. It was so mean. I literally read it. I was like, no, why are people like this? And it was like the top comment. And I was like, fuck.
I see the point because it's like if someone's has like disfiguration of birth and they're saying it's good genetics to like stay in your race, that's questionable. It's like, well,
yeah,
is it?
Yeah, it's dramatic. I don't think that's why he has bad genetics. I don't think it's like the purity of the race is what causes bad genetics. I think it was just a luck thing. It's just it's just ironic.
Mixed race. But yeah, I say a lot of here's the thing. I think a lot of people at 12 Tribe look mixed.
Yeah. I made it mixed.
Yeah, but I want to hear what. So the 12 Tribes teaches it's bad to mix races. And I want to hear what your personal opinion is. Not what the 12 Tribes' opinion, but your personal opinion.
So this is probably, like, I think the area they have a lot of growth in. Because a lot of it really gets down to, like, really, like, how do you believe humans started in the first place, right? So, So it really depends on how you believe that. So I don't subscribe so much to their beliefs about genetics and stuff like that. It's way off, I think. I'm more of like, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Billy Carson.
No, I haven't.
Forbidden Knowledge. He's like an alternative researcher who kind of specializes in ancient Egypt. And his teaching I think makes a lot more sense because it actually makes stories in the Bible make sense. But he says there was like a highly advanced authority figure from the cosmos, and then he had 2 sons, and his 2 sons were the God and Satan in the Bible. And I guess they were responsible for whatever was going on here at the time. And so that's kind of like where the Bible story starts, is at when they decided that they were going to create another type of human, which was different from the humans that were already there. Because there were humans already there. Adam wasn't the first humans. Clearly says, their children, or Adam's children, were afraid of other humans. So there's already people there. So
Yeah, I've actually heard about that. Yeah.
But at the time when you were actually inside, because you have to agree with everyone, if you were there and heard him say that, in your mind, would you be like, I actually don't agree with that, but you have to say you agree with that? Or were you just like so-called, I guess, brainwashed and really did believe that at the time, and now you're out and you're like, hey, I actually don't believe that?
So look, that's a good question. I would definitely say there's certain things that didn't completely resonate with me. The race thing is definitely, like I said, I think they have a lot of room for growth in that department. But it's also like a debate that I feel like a lot of people haven't looked into so much, because America has been a great experiment. And there's been some really good stuff I think that's been happening, and then maybe some stuff that not so good. But
for you personally, did you believe that at the time, and then you out, and then now you're out and you're like, hey, now I don't, but like, did you believe it
at
then?
the time? I would say I accepted it, but I wouldn't say I believed it.
Yeah.
I just accepted it.
You accepted that that's what they believed.
Yeah, I accepted that's what they believed, and all like, oh yeah, I believe what you believe. Like, because to me, like, the life was more valuable than just the beliefs, which is kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, like practice versus theory type thing.
Yeah.
So at the time, I would say I accepted it. But I didn't like believe it like my whole heart. Like, like one man had Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and like there were like 3 different races.
It's like someone poking you in the side. You're like, okay, I'll deal with this person poking me. It's a little annoying, but like I enjoy sitting on this couch. I'm not going to get up from the couch to get away from the guy poking me. I'll just deal with the poking to enjoy the sitting on the couch. Is that a good metaphor, kind of? Yeah,
I could say.
Nice. Yeah, see, it's like, this is kind of annoying right now, but like the couch feels nice. So I'm not going to get up from the couch just to do this, because like the reward I'm feeling from this nice couch is better than this is bad, I guess. Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, the situation was more valuable than the pain from the dissonance. There's a lot of dissonance, which is like what he was just talking about. His question was a good illustrative question of what cognitive dissonance is, which reminds me of the, I don't know if you've ever heard of Athene.
No, I'm probably not going to know a lot of these people you're telling me, but...
Oh, this is like a random guy. Long story short, Athene had a theory of everything. He was like a video game player, and part of his theory of everything had a lot to do with cognitive dissonance. Very interesting theory, but so there's a lot of that going on in the community of like people like really they believe one thing, but they're supposed to believe another thing. But a lot of that is like dude, the community is all about relationships, man. Like the theories and ideas and this belief and that belief is a lot less important than it's just the relationships. And like a lot of the restoration that they're trying to bring on this planet is the restoration of what it means to just have like a normal, healthy relationship between, a community of people. Mm-hmm. Where it's like that is like,
Nice. Well, let's keep playing the clips.
I just have one more question.
Okay.
But I want you over here, too. Just really quick.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know how to word this question, but, like, so now you're out, and you just seem so different. It's like, I feel like I can have just a normal conversation, because when I met you, it just kind of felt like, I don't know if I want to use the word brainwash, but I felt like it was kind of like it wasn't like if I shook you, like, hey, you in there? Like, you kind of just felt like kind of like a zombie, like you're doing the same thing every day. And I don't know. Did you feel like you were kind of just because you wake up, you do the same thing at the manual labor, the menha, back and forth. Did you feel like kind of like when you got out, where you're like, hey, I was just kind of like out of, like I fell out of it there?
Dude, absolutely. So the first time, absolutely. So for various reasons, like every time I left the community, it was like a readjustment, like where like it's like you're literally operating in a different realm of reality. And like part of what you're talking about is like there's a mastermind. So it's like Napoleon Hill talks about it in his book Think and Grow Rich. He says it's like the most important part of success for any person or business is like, you know, a mastermind, which is all that is a group of people coming together with a common goal. So like that's really powerful. And they're singing and dancing every evening, which is kind of like so yeah, so every single time I would come back to like the real world, it was like I was jarred almost, because like I was literally in like a different realm of existing, and then coming back into like the ordinary realm was kind of almost like Harry Potter.
Yeah, because there's sometimes I saw you and you were just kind of like, I was like, I kind of wanted to shake you, okay? Like,
really?
Yeah.
Just from like the overworking, you think?
No, I just think like, I don't know. That's why it's
you should have asked me something.
I know I should have.
You should have been like, hey, bro. Brainwash got you.
Oh, should we play the next clip?
Let's do it. Where'd Lydia go?
So especially when women cut their hair. She said she'll be right back.
Yes.
Yeah, she like cut her hair like just slightly shorter than how my hair is. So I feel like that's a sign that she's like, I'm the one in charge. That's so how does that make the man? I mean, what do you do? Like it really makes it like emasculates the man, because if you have to follow her, she's not your wife. If you have to follow her now, just plan on doing that until you die.
Okay, I think you can pause right there. Okay, so, yeah, basically, they told us that if a girl cuts her hair to be shorter than the guy she's with, then she's rebelling against her fellow man, and, like, basically, like, she's not being submissive to him, and this is, like, a sign that, like, Lydia's trying to act up, and, because we told him that Lydia and I were engaged, and we're like, we're gonna get married. So we went to your guys' wedding first, and we were like, dude, how funny it would be if like we could get married at the 12 tribes, you know? So that's why we told you guys that we were engaged. We're like, we're getting married in a week. Maybe we could just get married here, you know? It's kind of our storyline. But yeah, and then they saw that Lydia's hair was like this much shorter than mine, and they're like, oh, she's rebelling against you, Ben. Like you gotta teach her a lesson, you know? Is that still something you like subscribe to? Is there any truth to that, or is there because you used to have long hair, now you buzzed it off, which is kind of like against them, so obviously you don't completely agree with their hair policies. But
I came to the community with dreads to my shoulders.
You said they had to get combs and comb it out for like 3 days or something, right?
Yeah, it took like 3 days of 3 women working like a few hours every night at the end of the day to comb it out. So the hair thing, so I think... So gender roles, yeah, that's an interesting one, man.
They believe that like Satan was controlling her and telling her. Someone's calling me. Who's calling me? Oh, I told this guy I'd call him back in 2 hours. 2 hours ago, but the podcast is going longer than we thought. But it's okay. That's not important though. But yeah, basically they think that Satan had control of her, right? If I'm correct, like correct me if I'm wrong, but they think Satan had control of her and basically told her to cut her hair to like rebel against me. Do you think that's actually what happened in reality? Do you think Satan was actually in control of her? Or?
I don't think that's not very accurate what they would believe. They would just say that I guess like you could say like the cultural influence, which they believe is like pushed mainly by evil forces, you know, like popular media culture, you could say. They would say like that's like that's the tool Satan would be using to influence her behavior, which is in this case the behavior would be, cutting hair shorter as a sign like whatever, I'm more authority.
What if she just liked that haircut?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I think
like
context is everything. Like when you're in the court of law, like context is absolutely everything. So I mean, like, so yeah, I think a lot of it's gonna depend on context. Like I don't like I'm not in this whole realm. Like I was never like a Christian. I didn't grow up Christian. Like I definitely like loved Jesus just because like that was kind of like the thing. But I definitely questioned that belief early on. So like I'm not like a very stuck in like the Christian like way of like thinking about things. So but in terms of, to answer your question, like I don't like buy into like so much of that stuff. And it's complicated because like I think women can make very great leaders, and I think women have like valuable leadership skill sets. So like I'm not like completely misogynistic. However, I can understand like the value of like the traditional family structure where primarily the male is required for like economic input output, and like the women her labor is responsible for family and house, which is a huge labor. So I think I can see the value in that structure, but I don't think that's like the only structure that's valid and acceptable,
Are you afraid that you didn't act against God when you cut your own hair? Or?
Well, to me, I had interesting beliefs about hair before I came to the community. I believed the spiritual concept kind of like the story, the Samson story. And it's because that was corroborated by the U.S. military, where I don't know if you all heard this story, but the U.S. military has researched like every single spiritual phenomenon you've ever heard of, and they were looking into Native Americans who were highly skilled at navigating the land, which is an important part of war. So they were talking to these people like, how are you so good at tracking and like knowing where to go at what time? And one of the things they said, it's like, oh well, part of it's like our hair like gives us power to like connect with nature better. And they're like, oh yeah, that's bullshit, or that, whatever. So they ended up cutting their hair and like enlisting them, and they're like, well, we're not really able to do the stuff that you want us to do because our hair had something to do with it. We were trying to tell you, like, we weren't joking, So once I heard that, I'm like, oh, I need to have long hair all the time to increase my spiritual receptivity. But
you cut it, so are you going against God by cutting your hair? Like, is that a sin that you cut your hair?
I don't think I would consider it a sin. No, not personally.
Are you afraid that if you go back the 12 tribes, you're going to have to admit to the 12 tribes that's a sin, even though you personally don't believe it's a sin, for them to like accept you back?
Dude, if I ever go back, it's going to be like, those are going to be like the tiniest pebbles under like the sea compared to like the stuff like that we're gonna have to deal with.
So you'll just admit it's a sin just because it's a small little, like, you'll just be like, just like there's other things I'm gonna have to admit, like the hair is no big deal, like, but you'll just be like,
definitely worse stuff than the hair. Yeah, the hair would be an easy sin to confess, I'll tell you that much. That would be an easy one to talk about. Yeah.
But you said you don't think it's a sin, so you would be lying to them pretty much, saying like, I believe this is a sin, even though deep down I don't believe it's a sin, just so you guys accept me back?
Honestly, I don't even think it would ever come up. Like it would just be like deeper fish to fry, basically.
Fair enough. Okay, should we go to the next clip? The next one, maybe we should rewind a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
This was, to give context, this is the one time I broke the entire 3 weeks I was there. I had to turn my head and start laughing.
I started laughing too, and I had
just because it was like such a...
I broke so hard there, dude.
This is the one time I laughed. I think we kind of fast forward a little bit.
Since they have a great chance of being immune to certain diseases or illnesses.
What do you think about the culture of women?
Keep it like, yeah, we already watched that. It's right after that. It's right after the cut. It's right after this.
Tell your wife if you have to follow her now.
Okay, this part right here is what we're about.
I was friends with like a gay person when I was in the world. I couldn't really hang out with them for too long. I just couldn't handle the like the gayness. Like
Yeah.
I just couldn't be around it. He's really gay.
Okay, so
He's super funny. I love it.
I had to just oh my gosh. But my question was I don't know what your obviously they made it very, very clear that like homosexuality is like one of the worst sins in the entire world.
Like even
But,
if you have a thought, you should have just been aborted.
Yeah, but like I feel like it's hard to have that opinion in Los Angeles where like every other person you go outside and it's like they're gay, you know? Like I feel like Los Angeles is where all the gay people go. So is that like a belief you still have, and if so, like does it affect like how you live in Los Angeles or?
So yeah, I don't really have any well, so I've come a long way. I've like, so look, I remember when I grew up in Texas, I didn't even know what a gay person was.
Don't worry, I'm not gay, so you're not gonna offend me, but you might offend people on the other side if you say that. But
Say what?
I said I'm not gay, so you're not gonna offend me if you say you hate gay people. But
Oh yeah, no, I don't really have hatred in my
Lydia,
heart towards gay people.
later in
no.
the series, Lydia said that I was gay for Nathaniel. I just want to make sure that was all a skit. That was a skit. So you're not offended. You can say your true beliefs on gay people, and you won't be offending me. Danny's gay though, so
like I've had like.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so I didn't even know what a gay person was, and then I moved to Washington State, and it was like, oh, this person, like, it was like a trendy thing. I'm like, what? I'm like, what is this? I was like, my first reaction was like, I remember like the first time I found out that like this was a thing that humans could do. I was like, that doesn't. It was a negative reaction. I just remember it was a negative reaction, and but since I was in Washington State, I just learned like the culture was just like, no, like you're an evil person. If you're against gays, you are evil then. Really? So I was like, I don't want to be evil, so I don't want to be against gays, so I tolerate it. But I don't tolerate it, like I'm not like seeking it out, you know. So I'd say like I kind of became like ambivalent, like I didn't care one way or another way if how people wanted to live their lives. But me personally, I don't think it's good math, like from like an economic or like a human growth. Like if you look at Elon Musk, one of his huge things is like, we're not having enough babies. So part of that is if people aren't having sex intergender, like with like outside of their gender or whatever, babies aren't going to be happening. So that's one side effect. So I kind of see why Elon Musk is really concerned. And it is actually like a societal collapse. Like we're actually facing several...
Because people are gay?
Well, we're facing societal collapse on like multiple fronts. The population front is one of them. So I personally think it's not good math. Like what are we doing here? Like are we here to like keep going, or
what if that's their sexual orientation? Like what if you were gay? Would you and like you were just like the way you think about guys right now, right? What if that's how you thought about girls, where you're like, oh, I could never be with a girl sexually, you know, like that's just in your DNA, you know? But you see guys the way you currently see girls. Would you get with a girl anyways, someone that you're just not sexually attracted to at all, just to help the Elon Musk problem?
I like how we called it the Elon Musk problem.
What is that? He's the most famous speaker on the problem. I have heard him speak about it, and it's a real problem. Like underpopulation is a thing, but I don't want to get off subject though. But like back to the question, like if you were born gay and like you were just not attracted to women sexually, but you're like super horny for men, would you still get with a wife, or would you?
I mean, hypothetically speaking, in the situation, I think it would only be advantageous for someone to want to have a child, like if that's something they were interested in terms of like family. It's hard to say, man. I guess I wouldn't really know unless I was in that timeline. You know, like
I think about that sometimes because I'm not personally gay, but I think about that a lot. Where it's like, if I was like attracted to men the same way I'm attracted to women, like back when, like, because I was brought up in like a super conservative town where like it was like gay people are evil, you know, and like if you're gay, that's like worse than being a murderer, pretty much, you know. It's like how I was raised. And then I started thinking, I was like, wait, but if I was like gay, like wouldn't I want to be with like who makes me happy rather than like who society tells me I should be with? And I don't know, I started kind of developing that thought, but so it's like an interesting thought experiment. I don't know. Just to kind of like, there's no right or wrong answer, I guess, to that, like, because it's your personal choice in that experiment, you know. But it is like kind of like interesting to like think about the different scenarios in that, you know.
Yeah. So it's I definitely would say like I was negatively biased from the community about of that practice. But for me especially, I think it turns wrong once you start to like pretend you're another gender to trick someone else, because that's where I think it gets really evil, because it's like you're pretending to be something you're not to trick someone who may or may not have the same sexual interest as you. Like, I think that's where it gets a little kind of wicked for me.
Dang. Yeah. I've heard of some horror stories of like, yeah, people being like, oh, I saw this hot girl, and then they get to bed with them and they're like, oh. But I think it's kind of rare though. I don't know. But it is, yeah, something to talk about, I guess. I don't think most transgenders are trying to trick people. Or maybe they are, I don't know. But I don't know. Should we keep playing the clips? I think this is where we get into the juicy stuff, where Lydia, we basically, for context, we told.
Oh, well, it looks like I'm saying a virgin thing again.
Oh, yeah. But basically, for context, we told him that Lydia had a gay thought.
And I'm proud of it. If anyone else wants to say that as well, I feel like you should, because we should.
And then nobody said it, Danny. You're the only person.
I'm a virgin and I'm proud also. I truly do think now that Lydia's place is in the kitchen. She learned how to make mayonnaise? Oh, that's even, wow. She also said today she wanted to grow her hair out.
This is us gaining your guys' trust, right? We just said everything you guys wanted to hear.
Sick. Nobody really knows what it is. They think she might have pneumonia. I'm afraid.
That her father makes things clear, right?
Yeah. Do you think this is the father making things clear?
I wondered. I've wondered if something like this might happen. There's, in a certain way, I don't even know. Don't take this wrong. There's consequences.
Yeah, like sicknesses and injuries. I usually take it as.
Keep playing it, like, one more second.
Like this one, probably. That's how I usually do it.
Okay, so yeah, basically, to give context to that, we told Nathaniel that, or I think it was Rovak I told actually initially, said there was this one time Lydia had a gay thought. She was walking down the street, she saw another girl, and was like, that's a pretty hot girl. And then that was the end of it pretty much. And they freaked out. They were like, dude, you cannot be with her. Like, she is controlled by Satan now. Like, oh my gosh. And then I said she got pneumonia, and they're like, dude, this is a consequence because she had a gay thought one time. They're like, the two have to link together. And the guy's like, dude, like, any type of sickness is like a consequence from God from something bad. It's probably because she had a gay thought. And they're all telling me this. And I just wanted to know, like, what were you guys, like, that was our perspective, what you just saw, what they were telling me. Is that, like, kind of what was going on behind the scenes, where they were like, oh, yeah, Lydia's now getting sick because she had this gay thought once?
Dude, a lot of people were super concerned and like felt super bad. Like, I ended up being one of them, because like at first I didn't believe it. Like, my first reaction was like, oh, I literally said, oh, Ben's pulling your chain. But so like, to answer your question, like,
well, Nathaniel said, he was like, I was wondering if something like this might happen now that she had this gay thought, you know? So he was expecting something to happen already.
So what was the question again? I'm sorry. Can you run it back for me?
Basically, like, what was going through your minds when this happened?
When the death happened, or the
just like she's
death?
Sick with pneumonia. I mean, even you could go as far as the death, I guess, if that's when like you guys really started believing it, you know?
So, like I said, so initially I didn't believe it right away, and then I felt really guilty.
Oh, let's play the death clip just so they can see the context, and we'll ask the same question. give the audience context. Then basically I was like, Lydia's got pneumonia. She's going to die soon. Her dying wish is to let me leave. And then they wouldn't let me leave, so I escaped anyways. And then I came back and I was like, yo, she's dead. So that's what happened. But yeah, what was going through your minds basically? You said like at first you didn't believe it, but then when she died, you guys were like, oh my gosh, this is actually like really happening. And
so as soon as I got quickly ushered into the group think at the time, which was like, oh my goodness, like if this is true, then this is probably a pretty clear sign that, you know, maybe Ben should be here with us. You know, that's definitely what a lot of people were thinking. There's a lot of wishful thinking in that department where it's like,
yeah, a lot of them were happy when I said Lydia's dead. They were very happy that she died.
They hated me so much.
Like they were like rejoicing and like they were like, this is like, they were like cheering, like, yeah, like he's supposed to be here, you know, and they were like, this is God's plan.
People really liked you, Ben, and people really wanted you to, you know, be a part of that community. I was
really
definitely
wanted
one
Lydia
of them.
to die.
Yeah, that was definitely one of them. But the thing is, people saw like associated Lydia with like the connection you have with the world that you're probably not willing to readily give up. And like that's the only way.
But
so
is it bad if I don't give her up though? Like, is Lydia really that bad?
It's like one of those things. It's like imagine there's a place like this is kind of like how they're thinking more or less. It's like imagine there's a place where you can invest now and you obviously get a payout. Yeah. So it's like the more that you invest, obviously. But
is Lydia a bad investment?
Well, it wasn't.
She only had one gay thought. Is that like really the worst thing in the world?
It wasn't. People were really tripping so much on the one gay thought. I think people would just saw it as like a sign, like, oh well, as a sign of infidelity. Like if you're dealing with this now.
So it's not just the gay thought. There's other. That's just like one of the very small problems with it. She also has shorter hair than Ben. She's also Chinese. There's like lots of like she's Chinese and he's white. There's lots of problems. But like it's not just the gay thought. It's like all the things combined is the reason she died. Is what you're saying?
I died because I was Chinese.
I think they've had interracial marriages in the community. They're rare, but they happen.
Yeah, they did tell me they happen, but it's very rare and it's not ideal. I guess is what they were saying.
Yeah, they don't promote it, but it's one of those things. I mean, I personally think it's a good idea. Like the genetic thing, I think it's a positive genetic thing. That's one thing I noticed. Like I felt like I had superior genetics. Than everyone, like all the kids around me, because I could like learn super easily, and I was like, yeah.
I think that's what science says is that being mixed is actually beneficial for genetics because you have like more. I mean, I think you can explain it better. But
wait, so you're like genetically superior than like all of us here.
Yeah, I'm pretty pure white.
That's what I feel like.
Which is bad. I'm more immune to diseases. But apparently, being mixed is like better genetically for you. And
from my lived experience, I could vouch that. So for me personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. I think. But
if you go back to the community, you're going to be thinking different than them, and that doesn't work. The different group think. I keep bringing this point up. I ask this every time. I ask the same question every single time.
Ben keeps going back because you're saying, like I agree with like what we're saying, but
at the same time, you want to go back.
Yeah, but again, that would be not. Because you were part of the community. That's
okay. I think it's like being in a relationship with someone you don't fully agree with. I think there's more pluses to having that companionship and community.
But they think if you think that you're going to the lake of fire though, and you don't want to go to the lake of fire, like that's eternity in hell. Like that's eternity being tortured. Why can't you just give up that belief to be up with God? Because you cling onto that belief is going to send you to eternity in hell based on what they believe, right?
Right. So it's less that, like I said earlier, it's less about like theology and beliefs and more about like what you're doing with your life, like actions and how you affect others. So it's like.
But those belief leads to actions. Like your belief that it's okay to have short hair led to you having short hair, and like the belief that intermixed couples can like interracial couples can get married is gonna lead you to like probably maybe being more likely to marry someone who's not the same race as you. You know, so it's. Like these beliefs lead to actions, which then lead you to the lake of fire, right? And you don't want to go to the lake of fire, which is where you think you'll go if you do these actions. But like, I don't know. I don't think it has to be like that. I think, at least in my opinion, I think you can do these things and not go to the lake of fire. I think you can be in heaven with God. I don't think these are inherently like things that are against God. In my
opinion. Like absolutely. And it's like I try not to like think about too many of the detailed specifics as much as it relates to like what's like pertinent and like important at the moment. to like for better or for worse. But like, I mean, I agree with you 100%. Like, it's not like you think this way, oh, you thought wrong, eternal punishment. It's not like that, but it can be like, it's like, I think it's like it could be like a, you know, tempting to want to like make something as complex as life as simple as like something like bites, like ultimately I wonder if we can hardly comprehend what it's like, you know, passing from the physical realm to the non-physical.
I think it's like explaining the internet to an ant. Like, how can you explain, like, an ant's not gonna be able to comprehend what the internet is, you know? It's like, and we're just like, and I think like if we're this much smarter than an ant, I think the afterlife is even that much more like complicated than what the internet is, you know? So I think it's even harder to explain the afterlife to us than it is to explain the internet to an ant, you know? It's like, they don't, first off, the ant has to learn English to even understand language.
Hey, you don't know that the ants don't know about the internet.
I don't think they do.
What if they have their own internet already and it just works better?
I don't think they do. I think they have a way of communicating, like a hive mind, but I don't think they have access to our internet. Otherwise, we'd be seeing ant videos on YouTube.
But then how do they know how to build, if they're not accessing the database, like the design database, how do they know how to design their little things?
Maybe they have their own version of the internet, but it's not our internet.
I think they have their own version that works better.
Yeah,
and I call it the original gangster intelligence.
I agree with you on that. I just don't think they have access to our internet.
What was there things from our series that you didn't even know about the community? Where like, whoa, I didn't know they actually did believe that, or were you not surprised by anything?
I guess this leads to the next.
That's
thing
why
we're going to is that's why I asked. Thing is slavery, because their views on slavery apparently they don't tell you until you're like 2 to 3 years in, and once you're fully deep, then they start telling you these like deeper things. So I guess it's a great question. Is like, did you learn anything from our series that they didn't teach you yet? Or were you like, oh, I already know all that stuff?
Yeah, nothing took me off guard. It's like,
wait, you were in the car with me when we had this conversation, weren't you? Yeah. So yeah, that wouldn't catch you off guard. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I didn't contribute a lot to that conversation.
Yeah, you were silent that entire conversation.
I was. Yeah.
Oh no.
So it's like, yeah, I know he's like, you really vote with your mouth at the end of the day, in certain things, but so. I'm sorry, I got lost. Can you help me? What is your question?
We just asked, was there anything? I think that I can answer this.
Now that's irrelevant because he was in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nothing really caught me off guard. The thing that I was really thankful that you did, though, was like defining, like what defines a cult. And then when you were able to walk through that, I was able to see like, oh, wow, like the love bombing. And then like the thing that really hit me hard was the shun those who leave and shame those who question. Like when you broke that down, I was like, wow, that was what was happening with this person and that person and me at certain times. Like, because like when you start to question certain things, especially when it comes to how authority operates, like when it comes down to like holding authority accountable, not all the time, but you'll get at least pushback and sometimes like shame. Like they'll shame you in front of everyone. And that's like kind of what they do to kind of like help keep people in line, is to like make you look bad in front of everyone.
I think there is obviously you can argue that if you're questioning something, you could be like bad intentions, you know, like you could, by asking a question, it could be a passive aggressive way of like basically like trying to put someone down. But I think the 12 tribes rejects questions altogether, even if you're just questioning to learn. And I think that's the problem. In my personal opinion, is if you're trying to learn more about something and you ask questions, then that can be like seen as a bad thing. And I think that's what the cult, like 6 steps to being a cult, is like referring to, I think. But yeah, I think questions are great. I think being curiosity is how you learn, because how else are you supposed to learn things, you know? And if you don't learn things and you're not growing as a person, and then how can you get closer to God if you're not asking questions, you know? If you're just being told things, then I feel like that pushes you further away from God. And I mean, that's just my opinion, but it's interesting that you share that same belief, I guess, because every single day I was in there, it was like, don't ask questions. Here's what you're told. Believe this or you're out, you know? And
yeah, that's kind of basically how it is, sadly, more or less.
What do you think they can, whoever takes steps to improve that, or do you think
they're always, that's kind of what their whole thing is, like they want to be an accurate, pure representation of what the kingdom of heaven would be like if it were on the earth today. Like that's what they're trying to do to the best that they can, just like, you know, the ant is trying to live its life the best that it can. It doesn't know that the internet exists. The ant is just doing its thing. Yeah, there's definitely like, you know, yeah, there's that vibe, you know.
Do you think they're ever gonna like improve in that scenario, or do you think like what do you think can be done to have them improve? Do you think anything can be done to have them improve in that scenario? Or
you know, I think they're actively working on it. Literally, like that's what their whole life is like looking deep inside of their hearts and their souls to find out like what it is in them that causes them to be an inaccurate representation of the truth that it talks about in the Bible, which is like that's a whole interesting work in and of itself, how it's been omitted and this and that. But I think they are. I think yes, they can, and they're working on it. Like their whole life is centered around become consecration, like to become consecrated. I think it's the right word, but to be like sanctified. Sanctification is like their whole thing, and part of the reason why they operate the way they do and they kind of communicate the way they do is because, at least this is like how they think about things, is like they're still yet to be purified from certain things or certain viewpoints that they have. But the community, they're constantly kind of growing. You know, it's like a work in progress type thing where it's like not the best that it can ever be. Like it's not at the fullness of this representation of they're aiming for. So I think it's possible. It's probable. I don't know. Because a lot of people will come and like see like, oh, this is clearly wrong. Like I'm a messenger of God communicating to you clearly what's wrong. And then because of the certain culture that they have and they worship authority and reverence, it's kind of like there's a lot of communistic kind of stuff that goes on, like because it's very similar to communism, except with the main difference being that they preach about the gospel and God. And the
another very interesting observation I had was it's like communism, which is seen on the left side of the political spectrum, right? Pure communism, no money, no like everything's like everyone's shared, all possessions are shared. But then they also believe super alt-right beliefs, like they support Hitler, like they support slavery, which is like super on like the right side of the political spectrum. And it's like
they're like the opposite of like a libertarian.
They just take both extremes on both sides of the political. In my opinion, I don't know. But let's play the next.
Oh wait, can I pee while you do that? Can I pee right there?
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Okay.
Bring your mic in there with you.
I should bring my mic in there.
I think you already kind of told us your opinions on this part, so we can just kind of breeze fast past this part. But I guess we'll play it.
We say that the concepts of our Father's kingdom are reverse of the concepts of the world.
It just makes you feel like somehow doing the right thing is wrong.
Look at even what happened in the Holocaust, it's all communicated by the Jews, you know, and they're trying to communicate this victim thing. Like, we're just victims of, you know.
In school they teach that it's like Hitler's the most evil person that's ever existed and stuff, and
that's the point of view the Jews communicated, you know. But you look at what was going on, that's how it's told to you by the Jews, is that Hitler, in a certain way, is trying to save his country, you know, trying to save his country from these people that are taking over. Like, he's going to purify the country back, you know what I'm saying? There's just been a lot of discipline.
Basically, there's like a...
Okay, so I think I accidentally deleted a little bit in there. Like we deleted a little bit about the slavery, but basically he was saying like black people have to be slaves to white people, and like basically like black people, it's a sin just because I have black skin. I'm sinning by being black, and so I have to be put in my place by like having a white person like tell me what to do. I have to be a slave to a white person. And America was like the best it ever was when there was slavery, because that's when like basically I think I like said it in the series. I was like, white people, good spirits, good. Like black people, bad spirits, bad. And it's like it's not their actions that make them bad, it's their skin that makes them bad. And when because you're kind of like of mixed color, what was your opinion like when you heard that? Would you it probably like feels terrible to hear that like you're sinning just because of like the color of your skin. Like you didn't even do anything wrong, you just were born, and that's a sin. You're a bad person just because of the color of your skin. I get
Yeah, I didn't really get the same takeaways when I was there. I definitely was exposed to their kind of like pretty interesting beliefs about Abraham Lincoln, and
yeah, they were like Lincoln. I think he said that in the series, like he's evil because he freed the slaves.
Yeah,
he's like once black people were released in society, that's when
they
society went down.
Yeah, they said
than that.
They
There's
said
a
he
lot
was
more
the
to it,
they said he
but-
was the worst president because he freed the slaves.
Well, there's more to it. I didn't buy into that. The first time I heard that, I'm like, this sounds weird. So I don't know. They have like this whole belief about Abraham Lincoln and like what he was actually doing, and like how like it from the outside it looked like he was freeing the slaves, but really he was like, I don't know. There's a lot more to it than that. All I can say is like politicians are pretty corrupted through and through.
Nathaniel told me the reason Abraham Lincoln was bad, though, was because he put black people in society. And black people in society is what destroyed society. That's what Nathaniel said word for word in the series.
That is true.
Yeah, so that was, you don't have to understand, like, that's like his understanding. Because like everyone has like their own understanding of these teachings and interpretations. And
But I thought it was one mind. Everyone has to agree on the same teaching.
Yeah, there's like the conformity that like takes place, but at the end of the day, each person has like what's in their heart. And people will say like, oh yeah, 100% my heart is like this, but are they saying that because it's a herd mentality, or saying it because it's what they actually believe? So it's hard to know. So here's like the whole thing. Like, I think they're kind of they have a lot of growth in the race department. But in terms of slavery, so like slavery is like everywhere among us today in the modern world. Like, and we just get to choose our master. So either, you know, like let's say you make content, then you have to keep making content ultimately, or else, you know, like you got to do something to make a living. Like whether it's like your job, you know, like you're going to be worshiping one way or another. So it's like you just got to pick your master. Some people, you know, get into drugs and make drugs their master. Some people, they really love money. They make money their master. Some people make, get in a good relationship, and that's their number one value, you know? So, you know, so the slavery thing is like everyone's a slave to something. You just got to pick your master, you know?
But you disagree with them on the part where it's like the skin is what makes you bad. It's...
Yeah, no, I don't buy too much into that, like the curse based on genealogy. I mean,
because I actually did a thing in the video. I actually got rid of the curse. What I did was, so Nathaniel told me that the reason all black people are cursed is, first off, no one is white or white, and they have a black son somehow. I don't know how that happened, but
strange.
Somehow they had a black son. I guess let's just accept that. I guess. Anyways, Noah was drunk, and it was Shem, right, that looked at him and laughed and was like, Han, look at that. He's drunk. Let's all make fun of him, right? And because of that, that was such a bad enough thing that God cursed the entire black race, right? So now all the black people are paying for Han's one mistake where he laughed at a drunk person. So what I did was there was another white drunk person, and we got him super drunk, and he was laying naked on the floor. And I looked at him. Not only did I make fun of him, but I filmed him. I put his drunk body online for thousands of people to see. And what I did was way worse than what Shem did then, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're going to be logical here, that means that all white people are now more cursed than black people. So if white people want to be like righteous, black people are now white people have to be slaves to black people now, if we're going with the logic that Nathaniel told me, right?
Sure.
How do you think Nathaniel would respond to that?
That's a good question.
Should we watch the clip really quick? Let's watch the clip. I have footage of it too. We have video evidence of this. Should we play the clip? Oh no, she was pause it.
He's wrong. Is actually a non-sexual taunt. Apparently.
Well, what happened? What happened?
Oh, here it is, right here.
Hey. The best thing I can do for equality is I, a white man, disrespect someone that's drunk.
He was super drunk.
Please give me clothes to cover up my naked body.
I have the clothes to cover up your naked body, but I'm purposely choosing not to give you these clothes.
He got disrespected so hard.
I'm not clothing my naked friend. I'm uploading his naked vulnerability body to thousands of viewers online, so you guys can all see it and laugh at him too. Making what I did way worse than what Ham did.
Everyone's gonna see my naked body.
White people are cursed now. God's so much more pissed at me than he was pissed at Ham. Take that.
So how do you think Nathaniel would respond to that?
I can't speak for Nathaniel, but what I can say.
But how would the community respond to that?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the community. I can. What really comes to me is like this. Like really, based on the Bible, the curse started with Adam, as far as I can tell. So
Well, they told me the curse started with Ham, the black person.
Well, there's multiple curses.
And it started with him because he made fun of the drunk guy. But in that video, you can clearly see that I made fun of him even harder than Han did. So now white people are more cursed than black people. So that one black guy that was in the community, he's actually in charge of all the white people now. According to Nathaniel's own logic, he has to submit to the black person.
Yeah, Nathaniel, you have to understand, Nathaniel was kind of like
And if he doesn't
going
submit,
off on his own on that one.
If Nathaniel doesn't submit, he's going to the lake of fire. And I disagree that was a one-off because I've heard lots and lots of people come out saying that is an actual teaching of the 12 tribes. They just don't. I think you were kind of new in it, where they don't like teach you yet. But I think from every single person I've talked to, that's like an ex-person that's been in it for like more than 5 years, that is a legitimate teaching of the 12 tribes.
Yeah, like I said, it's like there's some stuff there that's like off. It's interesting because my mind keeps blanking about this topic, which is kind of interesting. So you said that the teaching of is the slavery, or is it teaching of the
teaching that Ham cursed all the black people because he made fun of a drunk white guy, which was his dad, I guess. He disrespected his father. I guess to be fair, this guy was like my best friend at the time, besides Danny. He was like the guy I like grew up with, he lives 5 minutes away from my house. This is before. I knew it this time. Well, he was like my childhood best friend, I guess. I grew up 5 minutes from his house. We came to Los Angeles together, and so he was kind of like not as close as a father to me, but like pretty close. And I disrespected him pretty hard in that scene. So I think we cursed all white people, but.
You might have. How does that make you feel, that knowing that?
We're the superior ones now.
I think I balanced out the playing field. That's what I was trying to do. I was just trying to balance it out because before it was like the teaching was all black people have to be slaves to white people, but now we just get to live freely with each other. We don't have to be slaves to anyone anymore. We can all just live together peacefully, and that was the goal of doing that. I was trying to disrespect it, so it's like, you know what? White people are cursed and black people are cursed. Now we can live in a society where now if you have black people enter society, it's not going to ruin society anymore, because that's what they thought. They were like, oh, the black people, that's what ruins society, black people. But now black people don't have to ruin society anymore because it's like now we're all equally cursed together. Now we're just all living peacefully together is the goal, hopefully.
I think that's what AI is, like the unification of the curse so that we can all just come under one mark and then just like have the perfect life that doesn't seem to exist on this planet based on the current design. We create our own design.
Is because Ben made fun of his drunk friend.
Dang. Oh no. I was just trying to equal out the playing field. That was my goal. I'm not trying to like cause like the end of humanity. I was just trying to even out the playing field between black and white people. But
curious. I remember when I was at 12 Tribes, I only met I think like one black person that was there.
He was the only one there.
Yeah.
No,
so
there was two. There was one at there was two delis, but like
I only met.
I was talking about strictly at the farm.
Yeah, strictly at the farm. There was
I'm curious. Is that have you noticed people treating him, any differently than they would treat others? And also, like, have you ever spoken to him? Like, what is his opinion about something like this?
So there's two black people, if you don't include me as being half, that were at the farm at that time. There's a male and a female. They're both single. Yeah, that's a tough one, because I'm actually more under the belief that a lot of people think like, black people are inferior race, but I think they're like probably the first and longest like type of human on this planet. And if you look at every important character in the Bible is connected to Egypt one way or another.
Right.
And they all
Wasn't
went
Jesus
there at some
black?
point. Yeah, that's what some
There's
people
no way
say.
he survived 40 days in the desert being a white dude.
Yeah, so
Well, Moses was in the desert.
the person they look up to is black. How can they think black people are insuperior?
It's kind of a smokescreen. I don't know. So I think, dude. So here's the truth. Look. So I think part of their beliefs being wonky and off, because there's a lot of people in this community. Some of them are like genius intellects, like super smart, and then there's people who are just like super like like intellectually, like emotionally intelligent. Like there's all different kinds of talented people coming from all different kinds of walks of life. So I think actually literally part of like the test of the faith that they observe is like, are you willing to subscribe to some of these crazy beliefs? Like, is this life that you claim that you want actually valuable enough for you to compromise your own beliefs? Some people would say like, so I wonder if that's part of the reason. Like,
why do the beliefs have to be treating people less bad because of the color of their skin?
I don't think anyone's getting treated less bad. Like, there's plenty of people. Like, this community is all around the.
If you're black and you hear that, it's bad. Like, hey, you're not good. You're going to the lake of fire because of the color of your skin. That's a bad thing to hear.
You know, then it comes on to someone's faith. It's like, is your faith going to be based on what someone tells you or what you believe in your heart?
But if you don't believe what they tell you, then you're going to the lake of fire. And that's the belief system, isn't it?
Well, so it's not quite so simple. So like you have it very simplified, and it's not really nuanced. They're more of like a three eternal destinies people. So they think it's like holy, righteous, and then like lake of fire, basically, which are people who like don't care enough about life to want to actually enjoy it or appreciate it. They just want to destroy it, basically. But then there's like righteous people who like have a good heart, and like most like any good like righteous person who like wants to do good, and then they believe that there's like the holy. This is like it's all scriptures, but it's like so. That's what I wonder if that's like part of it, because they used to call the Son of God Jesus. Now they call him Yahshua, and they believe that's more accurate.
You think the Hitler thing is also a part of that too? Like they're like weird support for Hitler, and
it's not so much no one there supports Hitler, man. Like you won't find anyone there who's gonna say, oh yeah, so
he was saying great. I mean it's in the thing. He said maybe I cut it out in the initial showing, but if you go back to the episode, he says word for word that the Jews had it coming pretty much, and they deserved to be holocausted by Hitler. So, Hitler was just trying to do a good thing for his country. It sounds like they're supporting Hitler.
So I just wanted to make it clear too. It's like a lot of these conversations, like you were there for what 3 weeks, so it's like a lot of these conversations weren't like conversations that were like 5 or 10 minute or 1 hour conversations. So it's like you did a good job, I think, of summing it down to its essence. But at the end of the day, it's like so. I don't think there's anyone in the community who supports Hitler. But I think he was just trying to talk about certain details. I didn't hear that whole conversation.
I think they do. I think you just haven't learned about it yet because you're too like new to the community still. I think this is what they teach you around like the 3 to 4 year mark.
That's what we heard from ex-members. They're like, hey, what they told you about that, like literally, they're not supposed to tell you until like 3-4 years from now. And they're like, you gain their trust so much that they told you that.
Well, I told him I was going to leave unless, because I said, I mean, I didn't gain their trust. I think I said, I'm going to leave because Lydia's mom sent me Lydia's mom started doing like research after like she died of this community that I'm in. And she sent me all these articles of what their teachings are. And I pulled up actual scriptures of 12 tribes teachings that talk about Hitler and how like black people are inferior. And I said, Nathaniel, like, what is this? Like, why does 12 tribes teach this? And in this video, he's explaining to me what the 12 tribes teaching is actually like, what it really is.
Yeah, no, they didn't want me to see that one. That's for sure. I would have gave my 2 cents on that one. But I would, yes, like that kind of stuff, like whatever that is stuff about Hitler, like whatever that stuff is, like you have to understand, like not everything is, like so a lot of these teachings are based on like one person. A lot of, not all of them, but this is one thing. Like, man, their teachings would be so good if they just use and a lot of the teachings were from like the gatherings where he would say something and be like, oh, that was really cool, we should record that. If they recorded that and then like did a best of like all the speakings and like people like speaking faith like and updated it, like that's like I think where they like, if they like actually like updated their teachings based on what people were saying in the moment, like based on their heart, not just like, oh, that sounded cool, let's do that. like it would definitely a lot of change would happen really quickly there.
But me personally, I don't see that happening. But if you go back, would you be willing to accept these beliefs if they're like, hey, you have to accept these or else you're like out, you know, because you can't, it's one body, one mind. You can't disagree with them or you have to leave the community. So
yeah,
because
you did say you would give your 2 cents on it, but if you gave your 2 cents on it, wouldn't you be kicked out because one body, one mind?
It's not that quite like that where it's like, oh, you don't believe with us? See ya. Well, it is more or less similar where it's like, hey, you're not going to live with us if you don't think like that. So, but to answer your question, like, I wouldn't concede. I would be a lot more cautious to speak my heart on things I know are not true, because there's certain things that they said that are just not true. And I would like say like the 6,000 humans being 6,000 years old. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like, I wonder if there's something that happened 6,000 years ago, but humans started 6,000 years ago. To me, the math doesn't add up with the history. So if I were to ever go back, I would definitely hold true to like what I believe in my heart to be true, and like.
But are you afraid you're gonna get kicked out again if you?
But yeah, because
I got kicked out multiple times, so it's already happened.
Yeah, because the girl.
But then you're gonna go to the Lake of Fire if you get kicked out again, right? And you don't want to go to the Lake of Fire. So we're going in circles now.
But remember
I'm just trying to save you. I don't want you to go to like. You're a good person. I want you to go to heaven. You know, I don't want you to go to eternal torture. I don't want you to see you tortured forever. If I can stop you from getting tortured for eternity, I'm going to do everything I can to stop you from getting tortured for eternity. You know?
Right.
I'm trying to just lay it all on the table. I'm trying to say, this is what happens if you follow these steps. And by your logic, you're going to go to the Lake of Fire for eternity. So if you continue on thinking this way, right? Because you're going to disagree with them. And then by that standard, you're going to go to the Lake of Fire because they're going to kick you out.
I'm just constantly seeking the truth, man. And then like just being there, I think it brought me closer to the reality of the truth. Now I'm super thankful because like the Christianity, like the Judeo-Christian worldview is like is kind of like a dominant worldview. So like being able to kind of like see behind the curtains of that worldview on like a very kind of like niche, extreme sort of a version of like kind of like an accurate version of like kind of Christianity, like trying to obey the, you know, the lines and the crosses of the word. It was definitely fascinating. Like, dude, like all of this weird, like kind of some of the weird like race stuff and the Hitler stuff is like, I definitely never really saw eye to eye with that. And there's one time they brought it up. I was like, guess it was a Friday night. I actually visited the community in Vista like the week before I got baptized or whatever. And that's when they hit me with like the Abraham Lincoln being like the most evil president ever. And I was like, man, he was like my favorite president. I thought he was super cool. Like, have I been deceived?
Oh no.
Like, because it's like one of those things. It's like once you start going down like the rabbit hole, you start to realize like, whoa. Like media companies are very powerful, and the people who win history, they do control the narrative. So
I agree with you on that. Yeah, I think like we think America is the most righteous country in the world because we won all the wars. You know, if Germany won World War II, we'd be thinking Germany is the most like morally correct thing in the world. You know, so I think it's whoever wins the war, they get the say, and then everyone thinks they're like the moral high ground. You know. But I completely agree with you on that. We're all brainwashed by the media to think the way the media thinks.
Do you think if Hitler took over, the 12 tribes would still exist, or do you think he would eradicate that evil too?
I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think if Hitler won, though, we would all be thinking Hitler's like one of the like we would be thinking of Hitler as Abraham Lincoln. You know, like we'd all be like oh, he's like a good, because then Hitler would control the media.
But do you think Hitler would allow the 12 tribes to exist as it is?
He was a Christian. I think so. Yeah, I think
probably. I mean, he was very interested in like farming.
Yeah.
You think he'd probably like a number one promoter, huh?
I don't know. I'm kind of uneducated on that. I don't know if he would. I don't have a good opinion. Maybe. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, well, probably not, because communism's like authoritarian, like two authoritarian like type governments. I don't think they could coincide.
I think he might not agree with it, but I think he would allow it to exist. Probably like how like our president probably doesn't agree with the 12 tribes, but he still allows it to exist.
But he was saying you could still say your 2 cents, and he's like, I was like, one body, one mind, and you were like, oh, it's not sometimes like that. But then the girl that got kicked out for speaking up, remember you were there.
Oh,
and then. Oh, and we're
that's
going
coming
too
up.
far ahead?
Yeah, that's coming up.
Is that next? I think it is next.
I have one more segment I want to do. I skipped over it really quick. This is gonna be a little. We're gonna go lighthearted again.
Okay.
Oh shoot!
All right, I'm skipping ahead, Lydia. I'm skipping ahead.
Words since you've been out. Or
Yeah.
do you still? Is it still like a habit where you don't say those words?
Dude, I just said dude. I would say dude was the number one thing I say the most.
Do you think that you have a bad conscience because you said the word dude?
I wonder if that's part of the reason. I wouldn't say I have a clean conscience right now so much.
But what's bad about the word dude?
I don't think so.
That's one of my favorite words.
You were referring
I use the word a lot.
If you refer to me as a dude, that makes me feel happy. And if
I'm a surfer, I love that word.
If I feel happiness because you call me a dude, is that really a bad thing? Aren't we spreading joy? Isn't spreading joy a good thing? And isn't that what God wants, is for us to be happy? So wouldn't God, in that scenario, wouldn't God have wanted you to use the word dude to make me happy?
I don't know. I can't speak on what God would want or not so much. But words, I can tell you this.
Because Nathaniel said the word dude came from a pimple on a butt. But when you look up the origin of it, it actually comes from a handsome man. So you're
Well, on
calling me
the internet, that's what it says. If you look it up in a dictionary from like the 1800s.
Really?
So you have to understand too, like, yeah, there's that going on. Like, it's really valuable to have like first copy edition books and stuff like that. If I don't know if anyone's ever read Fahrenheit 451, first edition books are valuable, because people can like reprint, edit, augment, and stuff like that. So super cool first edition bookshop in DC too. Would recommend. It's anyways. So the whole point I'm trying to make is, one, there is a war for our minds. So the internet is like it's questionable.
Sorry, I'm gonna go plug in my computer on low battery. But keep talking. I'm
So
still listening.
the second thing is words are incredibly powerful. As I'm sure everyone has already heard 1,000 million times by now, everything's vibration, and the way that we most readily control vibration is through auditory sound. There's different vibrations we have, like in our heart, in our brain, or whatever. But words are like the most freely, like we can just choose so freely the words. And language is like such a rich vector of communication. There's always so many different options that anyone has at any given moment. So communication, like their whole stance is like, and I kind of feel similar. It's like words are powerful, and it's not like I never cuss. Sometimes I cuss a lot. Sometimes I'll say whatever, like words that are kind of like frowned upon in the community. But a lot of the word things in the community has to do with like how they want their children to communicate, ultimately. And also it's like their own personal beliefs of like, kind of like a, how do I put it? How do they put it? They say like.
So you're saying word.
Wait. Okay, so I was gone. I was plugging in my computer, but I heard everything you said, and I actually agree with you. 100% of everything you said, I agree. I think teaching the kids to have a good vocabulary is very important because words are powerful. That's the message you were trying to say, right?
Yeah, because Ben doesn't swear ever.
So wait, I'm gonna try and lay all the cards on the table. So if that's the case, and we're trying to spread positive vibes And as we said before, when you called me a dude, that gave me positive vibes. Why are these words banned? But then the next clip, the guy said the N-word and was like, "Oh yeah, we can use this all the time."
Oh, we gotta talk about that.
How are these words how are these words hurtful and like bad energy, like you said, and the kids shouldn't be saying these words, but it's okay if the kids say the N-word, and we can call that black people that, because that you know what happens if you say the N-word to a black person? They get very, very angry and upset, and it's very, very low vibes, and that's what got it. But why is that okay? And I don't know.
I'm confused as well, Ben.
Wow,
I don't
Ben.
understand how you can't say dude. You're not allowed to say dude, but you can say the N-word.
Based on everything you just said, that's the question.
Okay, I think you cracked the matrix first of all with that. So now that you've cracked the matrix, let me try to put all the pieces back together. So yeah, the words. I mean, man, you have a good point. I don't know if I can refute that. The logic is pretty solid, actually.
It's okay.
Try.
Sorry, I don't know. It's what I don't know. But it's okay. You don't have to answer that if you don't want. But,
I can try, but it's just that's a pretty well put statement. Like,
because I mean, based off what you said, like words are powerful and it affects people's energies. And using these words, I would say 8 times out of 10, when you use these words, you're improving the energy. Like that's cool, you know, like that improves the energy. If I say, "Hey, your shirt's pretty cool," how's that make you feel?
you know, I would take it as a compliment.
What if I say you're a dirty N-word?
If you told me that, I wouldn't feel too happy about that. No, I wouldn't personally get offended.
And we don't want the kids to say that, right?
I wouldn't personally get offended, but I would question your character significantly after that.
But what you told me in the video was my character's bad if I use the first words and my character's... And then the other guy told... I mean, you didn't tell me that the N-word was good, but the other guy told me that it's a good choice of character.
No,
you say, yeah, if we keep playing the clip out, he's like, that's a good thing to call black people.
Yo, look at... Yo, I've seen that clip.
But you said it was you said it was a bad...
You wanted to hear what the other people thought. Yo, he was complaining. Dude, he was like, hey, man, dude. Khalil came up to me after that conversation. He's like, man, like, I think he was trying to get me to say the N-word.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he talked to me because that was like one of my close friends, Khalil, and he was just come to me like first, and he's like, I think he's trying to get me to say that word. Like he like asked me like a bunch of questions, and he wouldn't like stop until I said the word.
Dang.
So like he was like, dude, you pressed him super hard. How hard did you press him to get him to say that?
I forget the context.
No, we were literally like...
Yeah, we were like, Nathaniel taught us all this stuff about like black people yesterday, and we're like, and then I think Danny was like, what do you like? What's an accurate term to call a black person?
Yeah, that's what I said. It's something like that.
And then he was like, yeah, but we just call dumb people that though. He's like, but black people are dumb, so like it works.
No.
And like we didn't really. I feel like we didn't like maybe we like kind of like led him to say it, but like he was the one that like continued down the path. You know,
You didn't have to say the word. He could have just
didn't have to say the word. He chose to say the word.
We kind of like led him. We're like, hey, like Nathaniel was telling us that like there's like all these black people are not as smart as white people. Like, what do you think about it? And then he kind of just took it like to the next level, you know. But, yeah, I don't know.
I remember Ben showing me that clip. I was like, bro, is this for real? Like, did this guy actually just say this? I was like, holy shit.
He said it in a little playful tone. I think it was kind of.
Yeah, I don't know.
He didn't say it like with hate in his heart. Just for the record, when he said that word, like I've heard that word said with hate. With a hard ER.
Right.
And then I've heard that word said neutrally. I'm under the impression that was pretty neutral the way he said that.
He said it very new. He was
very casual about it. I think
he
that's
was
what
saying it in
is.
an educational sense for sure. If I was black, I wouldn't have gotten offended. Well, maybe I would have because he was like, yeah, we call stupid people that, and like black people are stupid, so that's why we call black people that. You know.
Did he say that? Is there a clip of him saying that?
Yeah.
Wait, we should play it. We should
But,
play it.
Of him calling black people stupid.
Ben, we should play it. Let's play it.
Yeah, let's see that clip. I didn't see that so clearly. It was like some McKamey Manor magic going on.
Let's see.
They're forbidden to say.
Sucks. What does that mean? It comes from like the whole realm of fornication.
But he's wrong. The real origin of the word sucks is actually a non-sexual taunt, apparently favored by the British school children.
Dude, let's do me again. Something nipple on the bottom of a... Something's bottom. Wait, really?
That's a dude?
And he's wrong again. Not much of a surprise. Yeah, dude actually derives from a handsome man.
No, it says from the 18th century.
Oh. You think it's Satan that's been putting that vocabulary in us?
Not working very hard.
We won't go back. It was cut so fast I didn't get it.
To call a black person?
It sounds like can be. I mean,
Do you think it's okay for a white person to say that?
they just call dumb people now.
Like, why am I afraid to say that word then?
Definitely a brainwashing.
Maybe once I get saved, I'll learn how to be able to say it. You know.
To have this talk with me, it's just strengthening your conscience, because your conscience knows all these things. You know what I'm saying? We're just talking about actually common sense has been lost. You know.
Yeah, so
You can't put that word on YouTube.
but I don't know.
Yeah, the continuity of that conversation made it hard to get the context a little bit. But I can confirm that,
he
like,
was not saying it in a hateful way.
Yeah, he wasn't.
I'll confirm that.
I'll leave it at this.
Khalil was a very loving person. He was a great dude. He was a very
I actually
nice
did like Khalil.
Yeah.
We opened up to him towards the end.
I don't want to like make this be
He's a
like,
good
oh,
heart.
Khalil's a bad person because he said this. He's just
Uneducated.
I would say. So I personally believe DNA is kind of like deeply embedded in our like consciousness and potentially even in our DNA in terms of like a survival standpoint, where like if you saw someone who looked different than you historically, could have been a bad sign. Like you got a group of people marching through the desert, there's a cloud following them. Maybe it might be like go time, as they'd say in the streets, like, you know. So I can understand like why people would feel that way. I don't support it, like the racism, like I'm not with it. I'm, you know, and like there's not extreme racism in 12 tribes, like this extreme, like, oh, we hate black. There's none of that. Like there's no hateful racism, but I think there's like a racism bias in some of the individual members per person basis, if that makes sense. So like some people hear those teachings, they're like, yeah. Other people hear their teaching, they're like, I'm not going to talk about that one in the next gathering.
Well,
you know?
Nathaniel told me that it's on all of our consciences. Just that like white people are better than black people. Just like the people that don't think that way, they're the ones that are like doing the immoral things. So their conscience isn't like as superior, you know.
Yeah.
But like the people that think that white people are like black people have to be slaves to white people, those are the people with the morally higher conscience, you know, and those are the people that are more likely to make it to heaven, is what he was saying in that last clip.
I mean, I don't know how they're measuring that, because it's like if you're looking at sports, it wouldn't be that way. But if you were looking at like wealth generation, you know, potentially it could be that way. So yeah, what he said there, it's like I can't necessarily stand behind that at all. No. Yeah.
Dang.
So it's like, it's interesting because like, even though I didn't like see 100%, like I didn't completely kowtow like my personal beliefs, even though like I kind of did though. Like there is like a sort of like group think that's very powerful there that you don't want to go against. And a lot of it has to do with like, you know, just standing behind like corroborating or whatever the beliefs are. It's just like, you got to corroborate because like that's your thing, this is your identity. So you do get into that position. But with that being said, like the kind of type of people you meet in this community, they would always blow me away, especially people who had been in and seen all the different stuff. Because the people who come and see people come and go, like their faith gets tested the most. Because they're like, well, is this the truth? Is this the way, you know? So it's super challenging sort of hear them and like how their character is formed because of them dealing with like all these situations where people coming and leaving, and it's like I've like never had like some of the most like loving, in-depth like sort of conversations with people about like things that truly matter, you know.
Oh, should we go on to the girl who got kicked out? This is where the questions start coming in. Where I think I might have to skip forward a little bit. Let's see.
Too hot.
Yeah, take it off, Danny.
Yeah, it's time.
You are cursed now. God's so much more pissed at me than he was pissed at Ham. Take that.
That because would you think I don't really trust the body ever. I'd rather have my arm promise you. Never, 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 never.
What's happening? We can help you through this.
I just don't want to leave the community, and I believe in legally.
But you're trying to leave?
No, not at all. They just don't want me to be here.
Oh, they don't.
It's just because I'm heartbroken. I don't really trust anyone. I'll figure out what's going on.
There's you.
Dude, I wanted to sit down and talk to her so bad, but I knew it was gonna be frowned upon if I did that. I just wanted to sit down and see what was wrong, but it's like.
I never had faith. I never thought I was going to leave prior to time. You know, disciples of God. I'm just like I have nowhere to sleep. You not do that to your God.
Okay, so there we go. The clip played out. Now we can talk about it. So this is the biggest mystery for us. We don't know why she got kicked out. This happened the day after Nathaniel told me about Hitler and the black people slaves and stuff, and then after this we see if you disagree with them you get kicked out. This is literally the next day after he taught us that. So maybe they taught her some other crazy radical belief and she just questioned them. Is she kicked out? But we never figure out what she got kicked out for. And
yeah, man.
Did you have any insider information on that? Because every time we tried asking questions, they told us we tried to help her, but she wanted to go, she wanted to leave. But then if you watch the footage back, she said, I would rather chop my arm off than go back on the streets, is what she said. She said, I would never, ever, 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 ever want to go back to the streets. They're kicking me out. I don't want to leave. But every single person we said, they're we tried to stop her, but she just left, and
It's challenging. I was basically in the same situation as her.
Really?
Basically. So, yeah. Really, it's so simple what it always boils down to, and it always boils down to obeying authority, really. And, in life, too. Anyway, I don't want to... So... She had a lot of issues where, I think part the faith that you get to live this lifestyle, it's not something that is binary. It's I got it, and now I have it forever. It's a roller coaster of life where it's kind of like any relationship where you question is this gonna be good for me for the rest of my life, and you think of the ups and the downs. So, and different people deal with that different ways. And everyone's going to be different for everyone. I had my own ways of dealing with it and trying to deal with it. She had her own ways. And I don't want to get too much into her personal stuff.
Yeah, we don't have to.
But she had been, she was baptized the day I was baptized. She was baptized sundown and I was baptized sun up. So according to how they observe the calendar, that's within the same day. And it was on high Sabbath day, a special day for them. So I kind of had a connection with her just because we kind of started showing up around the same time, and we'd were just on this journey to live this life out, and we were both struggling significantly. She started struggling, showing her struggles more emotionally, to everyone, to where other people would get uncomfortable because they didn't know what to do, kind of type thing. Someone's kind of having a panic attack, and it's you're how do I help this person? And it's doesn't seem like there's anything you do. It was a situation that would kind of happen a lot.
Do you think God wanted her to be thrown out on the streets?
I can't really speak on what God does or doesn't want. I'm trying to find that out, just for myself. So all I can say is everyone in life, we have choices to make, and she was given the opportunity to make the right choice in terms of if she wanted to do what she said she wanted to do, which is to stay there, then it becomes clear because you just say, okay, well, if you want to do that, then this is what we need of you. And so I don't know what it was in her case.
But what if it's having her do stuff? Because you said that some of the things might be that the 12 tribes beliefs might be going against God, such as black people deserve to be slaves to white people, or Hitler was correct. So if she basically, what you're saying is you have to be going against God or else you get thrown out, pretty much, in that logic, right?
Yeah, more or less. It's just so there's probably she was just going through a struggle to accept the faith, because ultimately no one's being forced to stay there. Obviously people want you to stay there, so they're gonna like try to help you.
But at this point,
stay
she
there.
believes if she
But
leaves, she's
no
going to
one
Lake
gets
of Fire.
forced, though.
But in a way, you're technically forced because they say if you leave, you're going to Lake of Fire.
And also, they throw her out on the streets with no cell phone. Like, she was begging for a cell phone. She's like, just please give me back my cell phone before you throw me out. They wouldn't give her her cell phone.
I even offered mine, and
They wouldn't give her. They drained her bank account before she went in there, right? They take all her money, all her possessions, so she has nothing. They stole everything from her, and then so she's kind of forced to stay in there, else she's gonna die on the streets. Pretty much, like it's hard to survive on the streets. It's probably just easier just to like go against her, what she thinks God would want, and just it's just she's kind of forced just to stay there. In a sense, I see what Danny's saying.
Yeah, there is a power dynamic there that's yeah, there is a power dynamic there. You know, I mean, like I said, we were both struggling, and we'd communicate our struggles in different ways, but ultimately, like, it didn't seem like, I mean, I get your point, like, yeah, so it's like, it really comes down to each person to decide, like, what's right for them. And, like, it was sad because, like, people were literally bending over backwards to try to help her, and then no one could really, like, I guess, help her the way she needed to be helped to live in the community, if that makes sense.
Okay, I got.
But technically, like, what we witnessed, they weren't trying to help. They were, like, remember the lady was just saying she was crazy and all this stuff? Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, it was probably split like 50-50 between everyone. But I got another huge question, too, that everyone was dying to know. This is probably the
I guess I just have to escape again.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
My car wasn't starting, trapped in the middle of nowhere with no service, so there's no way for me to leave. I can't just confront the cult members about this because they're gonna know I was leaving. So I decided to tell someone that was a little lower in the cult who probably just wouldn't know any better.
He needs jump cables.
Oh, I see. A few days later, after word got around, they told me that my car has gotten to a point where it's not even jumpable.
Were you able to start the car? No. Really? Yeah, I wonder if it's a fuse.
I got jumper cables, so I can jump it.
We tried jumping it.
Oh yeah?
We tried no response. Really?
Yeah.
Backing you up.
Ben? Anyone else in here? Anyone in here?
It literally sounds like they mess with your car on purpose.
So my friend Danny's skeptical that these guys messed with my car. So he decided to bring up a solution where he would drive with me to get my papers signed.
We'd be back in 2 hours if you just put it in the back of your... Okay. He would never... I wouldn't... But
I think at this point, they're just really afraid that I'm gonna leave them. So early in the morning, before anyone else woke up, we decided to make our escape.
I remember this.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't know what they tried to do yesterday. We just jumped that so easily.
Officially kicked out. We got kicked out. It's such a bummer too, because
Okay, so I guess the $1 million question, and I don't know if you know, but I just like to hear your opinion on this. Do you think? I guess there's two options. Either they're just really bad with technology, because it was like a 1 second jump. Like if they literally just would have connected the cables and turned it within 1 second, it would have been jumped. But he was like, "We tried." Were they lying to keep me there? And they're like, "Oh, if we say we tried jumping it, like if we just have him pretend like his car's broken down, or like if they did something to my car, I don't know, then he can stay here because like they knew I was trying to leave, then he'll stay." Was that a tactic to get me to stay, or were they genuinely just like stupid and just couldn't jump the car?
That's a good question. So there's definitely not a possibility, especially the guy who manages that deli. He's skilled with he knows how to work on vehicles, so he would know for sure how to jump the vehicle, which also leads to the hypothetical did he mess with it? I don't think that person, that man, his name, I know him well enough to know that I couldn't see him messing tampering with your vehicle. I just don't.
No. I was so 50-50. I couldn't tell one way or the other.
Ben, no, I don't think they tamper with it.
I think they just didn't jump it.
Yeah, they just didn't do anything. That's what I think.
They just didn't make an effort to jump because they didn't want you to leave.
Yeah,
and
that's
then they said
probably
they jumped
what it
it
was.
so that
That's
way
most
I wouldn't
likely
try
thing.
to jump it. And
did they ever talk?
Because Danny's like, I have jumper cables right with me, right? He holds up the jumper cables like, we could jump it right now. I was like, no, we already tried. Like, don't go and jump it. Like, we already tried to jump it.
They definitely didn't want you to go back and forth, and leave. It's definitely a fear that they have, because if you're not there, you can't get love bombed, or they can't, communicate their faith is how they would see it. And so, yeah, I think that's the most likely thing is they just didn't make the effort, and they were just saying things, I guess you could say kind of like a white lie, like I don't know, maybe he lied about trying to jump it is probably the white lie.
Yeah, he was like, if I lie about that, it'll be a greater good in the long run, That makes sense. Well, that's kind of puts me at because I was so divided over that. I was like,
Ben, I knew they didn't do it.
When I went back and watched it, I questioned it though, because I'm like, wait, because I know the guy is skilled with vehicles. I'm like, did he take a fuse? Because he's like, oh, I wonder if it's a fuse. I'm like, did he pull a fuse and then realize, oh wait, he's gonna go back and get it and put it back in?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't put that part in my video.
Okay, so now when we get kicked out, this is the good stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they tried to do yesterday. We just jumped that so easily.
Officially kicked out. Was I was gonna bring Lydia back to life, and I even had fake security footage I was gonna show him to prove it. And then Lydia was gonna show back up to the cult, covered in blood, chasing everyone around. They would literally all think she's possessed by the devil. It would have been so funny.
So obviously we got kicked out before we had a chance to do that. But yeah, I had fake security footage because we said Lydia died, and then I was gonna be like, yo. I was going to show Nathaniel or someone. I think I was probably going to show Cleo because I think he was the most gullible. I was going to be like, yo. No. I still have, it sends me, I can watch,
but you just hound onto my body for, days? What
I have security cameras in my house, and, I watch this, and then Lydia gets up and starts walking, and she's all bloody, and she's laying there first, and then all of a sudden she becomes bloody and starts walking up, and there's static and stuff. So I'm like, oh my gosh! And then we're gonna have Lydia actually show up to the community covered in blood during I think we're gonna do it when there was no kids around, because we didn't want to emotionally scar them. But when it's just the adults, we're gonna get Lydia to show up to some adult meeting or something, and then they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's back from the dead or something. It's Satan's come here or something. I don't know.
That would have been pretty hilarious.
What do you think? What do you think they would have thought?
What would they have done? Would they have been okay, this is a prank at this point?
Somebody pulls out a gun and just shoots me.
This is 3 weeks in. They trust us pretty hard at this point, I think. So would they believe it? Would they not? Would there some people that believe it, some people not? What do you think would have happened?
So it's so there's definitely the whole time there's a lot of a willing disbelief going on. So, but I would say for some reason the women were they were super sharp. They kind of were very skeptical. I remember after the first day that one of the women was saying yeah, she just kept disagreeing with me about everything. I think she was just trying to be difficult for some reason. She didn't necessarily know what the reason was, but so.
Well, maybe it's because Satan had her. Now Satan's back to life, and
I think they would have some people would have thought it would have been hilarious, and people would have been what's this all about? Because people were kind of already wondering there's definitely
you don't think they would have been scared? You think they probably would have just started laughing once they saw her?
Yeah, people would have. I think there probably would have been a couple people who were a little scared, but I think most people would have laughed.
I think they would be scared, not thinking that I'm Satan, but just being dude, this lady's kind of insane. She should probably leave.
I feel people like Rovak wouldn't have liked it though.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, which one was Rovak?
That was the one that kicked me out. He was the one. Him and the other guy.
Yeah,
him and the other guy. I forgot the other guy's name.
Yeah.
But those who caught my glasses.
And then, so then let's show what the actual way we brought Lydia back to life was, because we couldn't do that. We got kicked out. I think we were going to do that 2 days after we got kicked out was the plan. We had one thing we were going to do the next day, and then the next day we were going to do the Lydia comes back. but we got kicked out. So let's play the clip of what we actually ended up doing to bring Lydia back to life.
Yeah, so I'm so sorry that Ben lied to you guys, brought you guys a cake.
Do you... Yeah, it was... He told everybody you died.
Here you go, it says I'm sorry on there.
What do you want to do? You wanted to come and say hi to everybody? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Daniel's here too, but he got really embarrassed, so he's staying in the car. He's scared.
So Danny and I just full send it. We walk into their main group meeting. So the fans were recording with the spy cameras at this point, but it's their first time using these
Were you
cameras.
here for this?
So I mean, it's obviously they're not like professionals at using them.
Words on a paper or
We sent fans in.
I heard about their Ben's friends. Watch out for Ben's friends. But
Yeah, so
Yeah, there were fans.
you can see all of their faces are definitely like, what the heck? But yeah, what did you guys think when you guys got the cake that said, I'm sorry?
Everyone was incredibly suspicious that it was bugged.
Really?
Yeah.
You thought there was like camera in there?
No,
Yeah,
that's what
people thought that we were trying to sneak a microphone in.
You would just
like,
eat the camera at that point. Like, why would we put a camera
just
there
eat the camera.
for you to
at
eat
that
it?
point.
Okay, what happened?
People thought like 100% audio bug. Like they're just trying to get like more content for their YouTube series or whatever.
What did they do with
What
the
did they
cake
end up
then?
doing with the cake? Yeah.
I think they ended up throwing it away. I don't know. I think they cut it open to it and threw it away.
But if they threw it away, then we would still get the audio, right?
They went through it. Dude,
well,
they
just so you guys
scanned
know,
like
there
the
was
entire
cake?
property with like an electric, like an EMF device to see.
Oh no! Fucking way!
Super sketch that like y'all had left like a recording device like in one of the bathrooms or something, or like in one of the
In the bathroom? We're not perverts.
Yeah, why do they keep thinking we'd put cameras in the bathroom?
because like
I can actually answer this. I think. Tell me if I'm wrong, but Satan was the one guiding our mission, right? And leaving a camera in the bathroom is something Satan would do. If he's the one guiding our mission, that makes sense that we
Like
would
to
do something
do
like
what?
that.
To watch people shower.
Yeah,
it's
so
something that happens.
that's what Satan would do, right?
Well, the children, they don't get disciplined in public, so
Yeah,
you
but I
know.
don't think they get this one in the
Okay, so
bathroom, do they?
where do the children get disciplined actually?
Just anywhere really
in the
out of
bathroom.
sight.
So they think that we put cameras in the bathroom to get to the discipline is what they.
I
thought.
almost.
That was a fear for sure.
No, we wouldn't have put cameras in the bathroom. That's messed up.
No. But I did try to follow. I did try to follow when it was. Remember?
Yeah.
Dude, I almost got out of my seat and followed you. At that moment, like I knew you were up to something.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Bro. I was looking, but for some reason, there's something in me that was like, "Oh, don't worry about it."
What do you think?
In my heart, everything was telling me you need to get up and go see why he's following that lady and the child in the bathroom. But for some reason, like I was like,
Oh, you
"It'll be
noticed
okay."
it.
I was like, yeah, for sure. I was like, because you were looking too sketchy. You were like,
Oh, I was
super nervous.
I was so nervous that
But then
day,
you
dude.
would have just gone to the bathroom and
Yeah,
then,
yeah. Well,
so
I-
like, you would have
see-
seen him and then he just would have gone to the bathroom. You'd be like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I had to pee." And then
Yeah.
that
But I
would've
just
been
would
it.
have known like nothing weird. Like he's not following some
Did-
woman up the stairs.
did-
but then I saw him like, oh, I should have just listened to that voice that was telling me that. But I didn't.
Did anyone else notice that?
Not that I know. Oh, and I think a couple of other people said like, yeah, I saw that too. That was weird. Because like you had like this weird energy about you when you were like getting up. You're kind of like super nervous. You're kinda
Yeah, it's because Ben told me. Ben's like, dude, you got to do this, and I'm like, I want you to do it. I'm scared. And Ben's like, no, dude, you got to be the guy to do it. So
Dang.
I had butterflies in my stomach. I was so scared.
But yeah, back to the Lydia coming back to life. Did they? I guess once they found our secret cameras, they were just like, oh, Lydia's probably not dead, or was that when they were like, oh, like maybe like they're secretly recording us, but she also died. And,
dude,
like,
no one found out until Lydia showed up.
Really?
In person.
But you
Wait,
didn't
so
connect the two
you
dots.
guys
like-
thought that like even though they were secretly filming, but like I actually just died. I just happened to die anyways.
Well, like I mean, they had no reason to believe y'all were lying until you like reneged and like showed up. Like there was no reason for us to like say like, what if they're lying about Lydia's death? Some people, that was a thought. Like I said, my first reaction just from my heart was like, oh, you let Ben yank your chain again, like oh. But then it's like, I got like mind thinked into it where it's like, hey, dude, bro, like you're horrible if you don't have sympathy for her dying. And I'm like, what? Oh, she died? Oh.
Were you one of the first people that found out that we were secretly recording?
Who told you that we were like kicked out and secretly recording? Did they make a mention about it, or?
How did you guys?
How did you break?
Wait.
On the cameras, I'm so curious.
Wait. Let's get to one question first. Hold on.
Yeah, what was that would be the next question.
Yeah.
But how did the news break, I guess? Or how did you find out about the news?
I'm trying to remember if they had a group meeting or not, because sometimes when stuff like this will happen, I think they had a group meeting. They called everyone in, and they said, was there a group meeting or not? I think there might have been. Okay, here it was. So there was like the regular meeting, because sometimes when stuff happens, there'll be like an emergency, like everyone meet now type thing. I don't think they called something like that, but it was just at the end of one of the regular meetings. They were just like, so we found out that that Ben and Danny, they were insincere and they lied about Lydia, and they were just saying like, yeah, be careful because they might send his friend. Ben might send his friends, and we've like contacted other communities to warn them that like they might be infiltrated.
Yeah, we went to Colorado. They knew who we were for sure.
Yeah,
but they still accepted us.
I got to it's so obvious.
I got to spend the night.
Because like what? It's like it's 3 people, 2 white guys and 1 Asian girl with the same haircut. We had the exact same haircut. It's like we're not hard to spot.
And they still let us spend the night. No, I want to know after they took my glasses and then we got kicked out, what happened after that?
Oh, also, question. Did Colorado ever get photos of us or no?
Photos?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
How do they warn other communities? By like, did they screenshot like Ben's YouTube, or like how are other communities supposed to know?
They have computers and like, so people in the government have like access to the computer. Anyone really has access to a computer, but especially like leaders and people in the government, they have like more time scheduled to use the computer. So yeah, either it was a phone call or email or both. Maybe they sent an email with a link to the YouTube channel or something like that.
Dang.
Wait, I want
So back to the question.
I want to know, right when they took my glasses and we left, what happened? Were they freaking out? Were they like were they stoked because they thought they got the footage on the hard drive? I mean on the memory card, but they didn't get anything.
So
or?
right away, nothing really right away. They just probably had to like meet. A lot of like leaders probably just met after that, and then they're like, okay, well, what are we gonna tell the community about this? So that's basically kind of what happened. Is like they just would talk amongst themselves. But yeah, the guy who took the camera from you, dude, he was like told me this guy's name. He was just like
Ravak.
No, the other guy.
This is the other guy.
Yeah.
And he's actually really cool.
Wait, what did he do?
He was just kind of telling the story about how he took it. He's like, yeah, I just asked him, hey, what are those? Let me see your glasses or whatever. He's like, I took the SD card out. He was kind of like proud, like he was the one to be able to like. I shut him down. I protected the community, but it was just kind of funny. It just sounded like a funny incident.
You know why I gave him my glasses? Because if I didn't, it would seem sketchy. I wanted them to think like, oh, my glasses are just normal, and they did the research and knew where the memory card was. But I think it's hilarious that they think they got the footage and they didn't.
Oh yeah, no. Well, they knew it was empty. Like, cause like he'd seen it. They looked and they saw like, oh, they must have like swapped it out or something.
Were they pretty bummed?
Yeah, well, they're just like. That's when they started. I think that's when they started to realize, like, oh, this is like they kind of knew what they were doing because they were wondering. They didn't understand, like, well, why is it empty? Like, oh, this must be a new one or something.
Yeah. And then,
what was your initial reaction after finding out? Did you think we were like, did you hate us? Were you like?
My initial reaction, I was a little disappointed because I was like bought into it. I let myself buy into it, even though there's times like there's different red flags where I was like. Like I guess you could say I was like into the brainwash. I didn't want to believe it was a lie, basically.
Yeah, I wanted to build a pull-up bar with you, dude. It would have been sick. It was fun.
Yeah, we could have. You could have taught. We could have did some calisthenics, but yeah.
Well, I have another question. The day that we did get caught, so before we got caught, that day, Rovak was being a little weird. Nathaniel was being really weird to us. Like they knew. Did you know at that point, or did you not know until after?
Yeah, I didn't know till after. So a lot of this stuff gets bounced around with like kind of I guess people like in leadership or authority. There's a lot of conversations that happen like in this like this would be a conversation that falls under that. A lot of communication happens between like leaders and people who've been there a long time. So that was like the first thing that would happen. So I wasn't a part of that conversation.
And then we in our series we have an idea of how we got caught, but I just want to know if it's confirmed. Was it from Yaakov?
Absolutely, Yaakov was the one who found you on YouTube.
Yeah, we told him. So
it was my fault. I got us caught. It was my fault.
No, I mean it's
it
not
was
your fault.
But you did tell me to say it.
Yeah,
we were in the bathroom. We were working at the deli.
I think it's my fault we got caught.
Wait, hold on. We were in the deli and we went to the bathroom together. And Ben's like, "Hey, you should talk to him about this."
Yeah.
And I went overly aggressive for him to be like I went too hard, and that I knew he was skeptical after that. I went way too hard.
Because we were just repeating what Khalil told us, that like we shouldn't mix the two races, and that could be a reason why Lydia's dead, is what Khalil told us. So we were like, okay, let's just repeat what Khalil said to this dude who we haven't gained his trust yet, and I guess we didn't get his trust yet, and yeah, it backfired on us. But yeah, I guess thinking back on it, was my decision, so it's my fault we got caught.
But I could have been a better actor at it.
No, I don't know. But yeah, it all boils down to we just didn't gain the dude's trust. We went too hard. We didn't get his trust yet.
Yeah.
Were you trying to get his opinion on that matter?
Yeah. Yeah.
But because the only reason we did is because I wasn't working. There was a night that you worked at the Yellow Deli and I wasn't working there, and he said something that Ben wasn't recording, and Ben's like, "Hey, you should try to get him to admit it again, so we have it on footage."
Yeah, because he was like a white guy and a Chinese girl. He's like, you never see a white guy with a Chinese girl together. He's like, that's weird, and I was like, yeah, it's weird. So then I had Danny say like it wasn't. I think the line was like, isn't it kind of weird that a white guy's with a Chinese girl? Which is literally what he's told to me. Like, Danny just repeated his own opinion back to him. But the reason it was suspicious is because it's like, well, if Danny is living in the outside world and he's only in the cult for 2 weeks, how does he already have that opinion, you know? And so that was the suspicious part, I think.
Yeah.
And then how did he, because so they didn't know our last names. Did they just type in Reckless or Ben's Slackline?
So, like I said, people have various skills and like abilities like before they enter the community. And the community believes that they get amplified once you like make that oath, where you pay the price. Then you get, essentially your gifts get magnified. So him, I think he's pretty good with like computers and stuff. So he probably just like searched whatever information he had. And then,
but if you type in Ben Slackline on Google, his YouTube channel comes up.
That's probably what it was.
That's what we thought.
Well, should we watch the last clip that we have in here? This is to intro. This is when we take over the Yellow Deli.
I knew it was Yaakov. I knew it was him.
He's savvy. He's like really like he's a people person.
Yeah.
He's like a business people person.
Simultaneously, every single person in the room just jaws drops. So Danny, Lydia, and I hid on the outside while everyone else walked in through the back employee entrance.
Oh, yeah. Who brought you? Oh, we're with the. Can you? Oh wow.
We're here.
It looks like you just got outvoted, so let's rebrand. Let's do it.
My mom made that sign for
Let's
us.
rebrand.
That guy looks scary, bro.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
My mom spray painted that sign that we're gonna hang up.
You can't be.
Oh, your mom helped out? You helped take over the Yellow Deli?
Yeah.
Yo!
So yeah, basically, just to summarize,
starting to get real.
In the did you see this episode?
I did, yeah, I did.
So
I heard a lot about it because
the math works out. In California, there's a minimum wage law that says every worker has to be paid minimum wage. They get around it because instead of being paid minimum wage, they're paid in ownership of the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked there. We had all of our fans work there. They got paid in ownership of the restaurant because they didn't get a salary that day. They put in their hours, so they got paid with ownership of the restaurant. We then outvoted the non-members. We had a group meeting. We outvoted them. Which in the LLC it says it needs a majority vote from the workers that are there. We outvoted them. They're all fired. We own the restaurant now, and we legally still own the Yellow Deli. Like we are literally the owners of the Yellow Deli, like legally speaking. So I guess the question is like, how did the 12 tribes react to this?
Yeah, they weren't very happy or appreciative. They're kind of just like done getting exploited, I guess, from their perspective. Like, they're like, oh, we're done getting exploited by these YouTubers who are just trying to profit off our lifestyle. That's kind of like what they were thinking, you know, kind of like.
Dude, we really didn't make much money at all from this series, dude. I lost money.
Yeah,
I lost money.
It was it was just for fun, kind of. I don't know. Just to like explore like a different world, and we heard there's a lot of harm in it, and we thought maybe we could like help inform people before they like enter something like this, so they actually know what they're getting themselves into. You know, that way they're not in it, and then they learn once they're in it. Now they're stuck in it, like that girl. You know, and now they're like, oh, I can't leave. You know, so that's kind of our goal, but which I think comes from good intentions, but. But at this point we own the restaurant, so were they scared they were gonna lose the restaurant, or were they, because like legally we actually own it, like we caught, like they used a sketchy loophole to get around minimum wage, so we just used their own loophole against them, which is a legal thing to do. Like what we did was 100% legal.
Dude, that was super brilliant. I think that was like 40 chests that you played, and yeah, you should get your royalty checks sent in from that place, because I think they're doing not too bad. And I thought that was interesting, man. You got to see like the consequences of going against the Yellow Deli. Like, people were like, the police was on the Yellow Deli side. There's like random thugs on Yellow Deli side. How did that like? Yeah,
I don't know. It was just funny at the time. I was just laughing. I was like, haha, this is funny. But yeah, a lot of people, because this was the last video I posted, I kind of just left it open-ended of like, okay, I guess we got to sue them because that's what the police told us to do. And then I was thinking about it for like a day, and I was like, we kind of felt bad because it was like, okay, if we take away the Yellow Deli, we're not going to, like, all we're going to be doing is hurting like, because all you guys are like good people that are there, you know, like Nathaniel was a great person, like you were a great person, like I think every single person there was a good person, you know, like they're trying to do the best thing possible, and it's like we're just gonna be hurting these like good people that already are like living in basically poverty, you know, and it's like it just didn't seem like a good thing to do, I guess, to like steal the restaurant away from you guys. I don't know, but I don't know. At the same time, though, you could make the argument of like, but are you guys recruiting more people into this lifestyle that they might not want to be in, and then trapping them in a lifestyle where now they can't leave? And it's like, could we be preventing that by taking the restaurant away? But then is it worth then all of these people then like their lives get even like way worse now? I don't know. It's just, it didn't seem good, I guess. Because like we were like, the whole series was supposed to be like a positive thing, you know, and this, it got to the point where it was like, okay, this is funny, but like if we actually go through with this, it's not going to be positive anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, and what you're saying, it reminds me of like this very popular saying. It goes like, the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions, you know, and like it, you know, so it's like, it's one of those things. It's like everyone tries to do more or less, you know, the best they can, and you know, let's put it this way. I would have been thankful to have seen this kind of content like before I joined, but I don't think it would have swayed where I was at in life. You know, because like oh,
so basically we did all this for nothing is what you're saying.
No, I would have been thankful. I would have been thankful to see this. I think there's plenty of people who are like, you know, I'm not sure what kind of impact it's going to have. I think just making people who weren't aware of it, I think that's positive, net positive. Because ultimately, I think it's good that people know about this and they can form their own opinion, you know? I just think it's good for people to know that there's like another option. Like if you don't want to just conform to the way society is and you want to take a new identity, you have an option to go explore this.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not, like, do people get trapped? You know, I that's definitely kind of something that you have to understand when you like know what you're getting yourself signed up for. Like it's a fresh start, period. You know, some people are gonna hate that. Some people are gonna say like, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. You know, and I think it's, you know, I think it's good for that to have. It's an option. You know, it's an option for people to, you know, if they don't want to plug into the mark of the beast, they can plug into a different system. You know.
So what are you going to tell Nathaniel after this? Are you going to tell him it was a positive experience you coming on here? Or are you going to tell him, oh yeah, they're going to the lake of fire, dude. Like there's no redeeming Ben and Danny. They are going to the lake of fire.
No.
I tried to convert them. I tried to teach them what we're doing at 12 Tribes, but nothing I say registered with them, and they are doomed. There's no saving Ben and Danny.
I'm just gonna keep loving him as a friend, you know. I'm gonna tell him about this. I'm gonna say I enjoyed myself, and I'm gonna tell him that that you were right. Ben is precious, and he does have a good heart, and I think he genuinely, you know.
I just got the devil inside of me. Satan's just trapped inside of me.
Does Nathaniel
think this way?
Does Nathaniel who does he trust more? Or does he not just trust? Does he trust us? Not trust us equally, or is it me?
He probably trusts us both. He probably thinks we're both terrible.
Yeah, y'all kind of ruined the relationship in terms of trust. I don't want to say it's irreparable, but y'all would have to
So you're saying we can go back?
Just as creative as you were with this content, you'd have to be equally as creative to try to win them back.
But you're saying there's a chance.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dang. Okay.
I mean, you made it to Colorado, right?
That was crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think they knew who we were. Maybe they did. I don't know. But we did.
We were bunkmates, and with another member.
Dang. No,
That's
we have no
crazy.
plans of at least I have no plans of going back. But I can't speak for Danny. But I don't know. It would just be like beating a dead horse at this point. You know, it's like I've bigger and crazier series to come out soon, and it's gonna be crazy. So stay tuned. It's very, very close to being released, but...
Did you want to ask him about
forward to
the kid stuff or no? Because he doesn't have one of his own.
I don't know. I mean, also, we didn't really get that much content on, like when you hear 12 tribes, you always hear child abuse. That's, like, the number one thing people talk about. Apparently, the California community, I guess, wasn't, like, too the one you were at, but apparently a lot of the other 12 tribes are, like, really bad with child abuse, where they're, like... dunking kids in like freezing water and like holding them there for like a minute and stuff. Like they'll fill like a bathtub with like, ice water, and it's like a 6-month-old kid, and they'll like shove it underneath the water for like a minute and stuff. If they like if they're like biting their finger, like a little 6-month-olds like biting their fingernails, that's like train their children. And I don't know. To me, I mean, everyone has their different opinions on child abuse, but my personal opinion is that's a little bit too far. I think that's a bad thing, and I think God would not want you to do that to your kid. That's just my personal opinion. If God does exist, he doesn't want you dunking your 6-month-old baby in water because they bit their fingernails, you know?
Yeah, no, the dunking baby in the water, I'd never seen or heard anything like that when I was there. But there was definitely times I felt uncomfortable, like knowing like, you know, children were getting, you know, disciplined. And I wouldn't say any of the children are getting beat. That's why, like, in America, I don't think anyone will ever really have a case for child abuse because, like,
if you watch my series of it, I have an ex-member that's probably watching right now, but she kind of talked about her experience, and she talked a lot about the child abuse with it.
Yeah, how they're like, maybe it wasn't as bad in the one we went to. Maybe that's better, but I know in a lot of the 12 tribes around America, like, they're getting bruised up pretty bad. And I know everyone has, like, their opinions on, like, if discipline's good for children. Obviously, discipline is good, you know? Like, if you don't, like, have consequences for your kid, like, they're just going to grow up, like, lawless. It's going to be bad. So, obviously, you need to set up consequences for your children. But I think the argument is that 12 tribes takes it, like, kind of too far to where it's like, okay, this is no longer constructive discipline. This is just like beating your kid up, and it's just like this is gonna make them worse off because of it.
And then, because they accept anyone, like a sex offender can just go there and hide there. And I've heard other stories about like them, like pursuing really young girls.
And this isn't the California location that we were at. This is like Danny's talking about like other 12 tribes that are in America. But yeah, I don't know.
So also it's like some of our stuff was common in our videos, like the virgin stuff. We made it funny, but also we were trying to like shed light about, hey, we don't support that stuff, but also here's like what they believe in. You can have your own opinion on it. But this is what like we don't support, like the racism stuff, the child abuse stuff, like when I had a FaceTime with an ex-member and she told me like other stuff that I didn't even know about. Like that was the stuff that like I just wanted to shed light. So like people at 12 Tribes probably like, oh, they just want to make money off this. We didn't really make money off the videos at all. We spent more. It was more about like, dude, if you knew my background, I used to do stupid jackass stunts, met Reckless Ben, changed my whole life where I feel like I have a purpose now, putting out actual like educational good stuff, that feel like I'm doing something good in the world. That's my passion, and that's why I do this. Not for like, yeah, it's my job, but like I don't want to. If this is just my job, I would be traveling the world surfing. Like it feels really good, just like putting out content like this, and I love working with this guy because he's a genius in my opinion.
So I think we're almost out of battery, so we got to wrap this up very, very soon. But so basically this whole podcast so far has been us criticizing this community you were in. So now let's give you the floor, and you can criticize us for the series we made. So obviously we were like, okay, here's something bad with the community you're in. Like, what do you think about that? And we kind of went through all the little details and kind of like nitpicked. Obviously, no one's perfect. We're not us included. So what did we do wrong? How can we improve in our investigations, I guess?
See, I like this.
Yeah, this is a very humble question. I'm glad you asked. So I'm how do I put it? So there's a couple things. One, I wondered if the way you painted some of the beliefs, it seemed like extremely radical. Like obviously some of the beliefs are pretty spicy, I guess, or like controversial, but I wonder if you didn't do like justice in the sense of like accurately depicting the degree of the beliefs, because especially at least in the Southern California community, it's like kind of pretty laid back. It's not like ultra strict. I mean, it's strict. It's a community of people that have rules. But so I guess the question I have is like, why didn't you post more unedited clips of people speaking their beliefs?
I think it was boring.
I 100% agree. No one would watch the video, to be honest. They would just click off.
Yeah, I tried to make the video like fun and entertaining, and so obviously I did show the most extreme parts. Like the parts that were like kind of boring, of like, oh, let's just do manual like labor. Let's just talk about how like I don't know how like just like boring stuff. It's like people don't want to see that, I guess. I don't know. Like people like, and also. Well, we wanted the video to be kind of almost like a warning, like this is what you're getting into, because I think this is just my personal opinion. I think 12 Tribes false advertises themselves of what their true beliefs are. Because when you go in, it's love bombing. They're like, we're so happy here, and then you're there for 2 weeks and everyone kind of turns into a zombie because like they don't actually enjoy the work as much as they claim they do when you first show up, So I feel like they kind of false advertise themselves. So we wanted to show like, okay, this is kind of what you're really getting into, and this is how extreme it can get, if you do show up. And so if we just showed like everything unedited, yeah, it might have been like slightly more like, I guess, accurate of what it's actually like to live there, but then I feel like in the long run more people wouldn't have seen it, and then less people would be warned, and the warning wouldn't be as effective not to join, I guess.
Okay,
if that answers the question. I don't know, but I do want to say that so my Scientology series was the first series I ever investigated thing. This was Danny's first he was just doing jackass stunts before this. I was kind of just doing jackass stunts also. So this is my second investigation after the Scientology one. So I think I dramatically improved. Basically, the Scientology one was kind of a train wreck that I did. Mm-hmm. And then this was a big improvement from the Scientology series. And I think the McCamey Manor one was way more like unbiased and well, I just it was more polished, but I also think it was way more unbiased than this one, because I went into that was my biggest criticism with myself on this series was I went into it kind of assuming that the 12 Tribes was not a good thing for society, because I like went into it like assuming that like already knowing what their teachings on like beliefs on slavery were. I already knew what their beliefs on Hitler was. I already knew what their beliefs on like gayness was, like homosexuals, and so I knew they were bad going into it. Where with McCamey Manor, I tried to give him as much of the benefit of the doubt as possible. I tried to go it completely unbiased, And so hopefully the next series I do it makes McCamey Manor look like a piece of garbage, and then I can just keep improving every single series is the goal. But I think it's good to talk about like our flaws and stuff and like what we did wrong. That way we can improve it in the next series,
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of false advertising, I wanted to make it a little bit more clear. Like, there's nothing that they believe about suicide or like group suicide, and like I just wanted to clarify that what they're talking about.
I don't think we said on.
No, I did. I said they're going to have 144,000 virgins. It says they're going to be sacrificed to God, right? They're going to sacrifice themselves, or
I mean, that's okay. So just to add clarity, to frame it a little bit different, a little bit more neutral. So the 144,000 they believe are going to be male children from the age of like what do I say, 14 to like 20, mid 20, like young adult male, and they believe that, you know, there's certain requirements. Obviously, like you have to fit to be deemed worthy, because it's kind of like an honorable position, where in this position of the 144,000 are the last final representatives who are capable of preaching the gospel with like receipts and like an actual life that you can.
But then they're all going to die, right? They're going to be.
So yeah, so that's the belief. So that's what they want to do. They want to send people out who are accurate representations of the truth that they believe in, which is the gospel of the Son of God. That's like their whole thing. So that's what they want to do. What's prophesied is going to happen is that they're going to get, those people are likely going to get killed. So
they're signing up to get killed. So they're not committing suicide themselves.
They're sending them out to preach the truth. So that's what they're doing. And then the response is most likely going to be a murder. So it's not going to be, there's no suicide. They believe that they're going to send
signing
people
up to get killed. So I could have used better vocabulary, and I could have, because I did say they're going to do a group suicide. So
yes, multiple times, yeah.
You're right. I could have improved that.
So that's
for sure,
like factually like incorrect. Just for the record, that's not true. That's not an actual. It's kind of close, I guess, depending on how you look at it. But
yeah, I don't know. If I'm signing up to die, I guess I was like, that's close enough to suicide at the time. But I totally see what you're saying. It's not like Jonestown. I kind of made it seem like the Jonestown cult, where it's nothing like Jonestown. Like they're not drinking the Kool-Aid. They're not the ones killing themselves. They're not. It's God that's killing them, right? It's not God, but like Satan's killing them, right? Pretty much. Who's actually the one murdering these people? That if it is going to be a murder,
there's just going to be more accurate. They're going to be people who are completely sold on basically the mark of the beast system, which is spearheaded by AI.
Well, let's come on. Let's do a common ground right here. They're not doing a group suicide. They're going on a suicide mission.
It's definitely kind of a suicide mission.
Yeah, but it's nothing. I made it seem like Jonestown, and you're right. That can be more accurate.
Yeah, they don't want anyone to commit suicide. They're believers in life and living, and yeah, they definitely advocate against suicide.
They're just going on a mission where they're probably going to die.
But they are trying to yield the male child referred to in the Book of Revelations. That's one of their primary goals. Is to make that a reality. So someone has to do it. It's going to happen one way or another. So that's nice. At least someone's trying, you know.
Well, I think we probably have to go soon because our battery is very, very low. Anything you want to plug before you go off?
Water revitalization. Look into it.
Water. Anything else? Anything you want to plug, Danny?
Yeah, just can't wait to keep working with you.
Danny just took a 3-month break. He will be back on YouTube soon. I'll be back on YouTube soon. Let's turn the camera to Josh. We can't turn the camera, I guess, but he's been helping us produce this today. And
also, guys, I saw a preview of Ben's next video.
What do you think?
I feel like I say this every video. It's the best video I've ever seen, but I'm not. I swear on my life, I'm not biased because you're my best bud. That was gold. Like,
did you have fireworks?
You got me so hooked, dude. You're like, oh, this is the unedited version. Like, it's not even that done yet. I was like, dude, this is already incredible. I think it's your masterpiece.
It's a pretty incredible video.
It's
top notch.
I wish I was a part of it, but I was in Bali for 3 months.
It might be a little more controversial.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm not a part of it, guys, because I was in Bali, but it is incredible.
I would say this. I'm wanted by the police right now.
Yeah, he is. I saw security cam footage. I saw security cam footage going up to someone's house. Had a photo of Ben going like, "Hey, have you seen this guy?"
Yeah. They're looking for me right now. So definitely, what I'm doing, I guess, is not. I don't know. It's pretty epic though.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Should we sign off? Sick. I guess stay tuned for the videos and weekly lives. I guess subscribe to Patreon if you want to support the channel. All the money goes back into the video creation process. All the money I made from Patreon, it's literally going into these like next series that I made. So
I've never really seen you take a break, dude. All you do is work. So like, when I think your fans should know, like you are putting all your effort into these videos.
I've not been resting behind the scenes. It's been every day. I've been risking my life or editing.
That's inspiring, dude.
Yeah. Well, should we end this live? Oh, sorry.